Oh, and we're live, buddy. um, we have a third person on our stream today.
Got a
Arlo.
little fiend with us.
um, so yeah, it's been a minute since we've did one of these. We've a
A
lot's been
lot of stuff
going
is
on.
going on. Yeah.
Yeah. We've had power outages, we've had storms, we've had just life in general.
Life.
So yeah, and then well, I think we talked about the Fablemans last time we were on here, didn't we? A little
Yeah.
bit.
We talked about it. I finally it was on cable. I saw it, dude. I I couldn't I'm not the biggest Spielberg fan,
Uh,
okay? I
that's what
like some
that's what I was going to kick off this thing was like, do you have a favorite Spielberg movie?
Close Encounters.
Oh, really? I think that's the only
Yeah.
one that I need to go back and rewatch because I've watched it pretty young, and so like I need to kind of watch it as an adult and to kind of give like a kind of like what my true like what like kind of a newer thought on it is. Like when I was a kid, I'm like
Yeah.
I liked it, the visuals and everything, but like I need to like see it through like an older perspective.
There are 3 cuts of that movie.
Oh, oh, see that's why I wanted to buy like I think there was a 4K edition of it, and I wanted to because I think I could be wrong. I think they have a couple of versions of that on there, so that's
I
why.
got the I yeah, I got the Blu-ray some years back, and the Blu-ray came with all 3 cuts. It comes with the
Oh,
theatrical cut, it comes with Spielberg's director's cut, and it comes with like the special edition, you know. And each cut is actually different. And I'm sorry, but the original cut, the theatrical cut is my favorite cut because there's a scene in that movie where Richard Dreyfuss, just finally loses his mind. He
mm-hmm.
starts tearing up the neighbor's plants and throwing stuff through his window because he wants to build Devil's Tower. That scene is not always in the other 2 cuts, and it's you finally realize he's lost it. So yeah,
Mm-hmm.
I'm not the biggest Spielberg fan. I do like Spielberg, like Duel, Jaws, as you're wearing.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah.
Close Encounters, and then I think he gets too much credit for other things that weren't
So
really.
I second that one as well because of like he may be like executive producer on a lot of stuff and like it's like Spielberg presents or like just or what DreamWorks in general or whatever or what's this
Yeah.
um whatever his thing is called like um I can't
Oh,
remember
yeah. Yeah, I know what you're talking about. Amblin.
with the Amblin, yes, that's it, with the moon and the ET and everything. um so yeah, like if I had to pick, this is like mine would have to be like, as much as I love Jaws. Like Jaws is like one of my all time favorite movies, but I think in terms of like Spielberg movies, I'm
Great
hard
movie.
to Jurassic Park.
Okay. Right.
So
That's
um,
no. I didn't even get to Jurassic Park, but my thing when I say I think he gets too much credit is that Jurassic Park was written by Michael Crichton.
right,
You know, all he did was direct the movie. And that's the same way I feel about Indiana Jones. Indiana Jones, the first movie, Raiders of the Lost Ark,
mm,
was created by, everyone
Lucas,
say it, George Lucas.
right,
Right. And George Lucas gets crapped on by everyone. They're like, oh, well, don't let Lucas do that. You hear the way they talk about Lucas in the Kevin Smith films.
right,
When like Clerks too, like, oh, well, you're a good old boy toy Lucas.
yeah,
And
but
but Lucas is the creator of Indiana Jones,
right. Who
not Spielberg. Spielberg directed the movie.
who's laughing now when he sold what Lucasfilm for like $1 billion? Like who's like like who's really like
No doubt.
his. But yeah, like I love Indiana. I'm actually thought about doing a marathon here soon.
I just did it. I just did it like 2 weeks ago.
I'm waiting for. I'm waiting for the new one to like come out so I can do it all and just be like, eh, because the day we had storms here. Yeah, you can play with the card, buddy. Storms here. I was going to go see that in the Flash. I was going to do kind of a double feature day for myself because I had no kid. I was just going to just go to the movies, and then the storm hit, and then knocked the power out for 4 days. And so I'm just like, okay, that was a sign not to go see the movie.
Yeah, they showed like all 4 movies. You know, they haven't shown the new one because it just came out, but they showed the first 4 movies in a row, like on Showtime. And so I just recorded them, and they showed them in order, which was cool.
Oh.
So I could just go, oh, Raiders, Tomb, you know, Last Crusade, and Crystal Skull. I'll just watch them back to back to back and back on my DVR, and it was awesome.
Do it right. They would have put Temple of Doom first.
Well, that's chronologically, but yeah, they did them in release date.
Yeah. I'm just being like the film snob in me. Like
that's a because when I had them recorded, I'm like, you know, I could watch these, and because I had them recorded, so I'm like,
right.
Oh, I could start with Temple and go from Temple to Raiders, but I watched them in the order. You know, I remember seeing them in.
For the longest time, I didn't realize that Temple was a prequel. I you know, just a young Max. You know, he's just like he was just enjoying the ride. You know, the alligator rope bridge sequence and the train, like the you know, but like when it comes to like the nitty gritty details, I'm just like just didn't pick up on. And then then when I started like rewatching the movie over and over and over again, like, oh, that's a prequel to the first one, and little nods and here and there, you know, and everything. That's when I really started.
My 2 favorite nods are my 2 favorite nods are one's in Temple, and it's the fact that Willie sings at Club Obi-Wan.
Yeah.
And the second one is in Raiders, the pillar with R2D2 and C-3PO on it.
I like that. The Indiana Jones movies are just so good. Like, I will give credit with the Kingdom of the Crystal Skull that there are some like good moments in that movie, but overall it is pretty weak.
Movie. I don't know why people crap on it. I think it's a good movie.
See, I have no problem if it's on, I'll watch it. Like, I have no problem sitting there and watching it, but I think because I think the only real sequence in that movie that I didn't like was probably the just the addedness of the monkeys. That's the only sequence in the whole movie. I'm like, it could have been. It's a little far fetched, just a little bit. Like given the fact that he survived a nuclear explosion.
Well, here's my defense to that movie, and to everyone listening. If you agree. If you don't, I'm good with that too. So the first 3 movies, the first 3 movies, Raiders, Temple, and Last Crusade, were all based when George Lucas came up with Indy. These were all based around the 1930s, 40s serials, where you would go to the theater, you would give them your nickel, your dime, whatever it costs to get in, and you'd get to watch a chapter of a serial once a week. And this is where we get the term cliffhangers, you know?
Yeah.
So Danger Dan would be out in the jungle and, you know, blah, blah, blah. And all of a sudden he'd fall over a cliff. You'd have to come in next week to see whether or not he lived.
Right.
And it was from those serials that George Lucas said, I could make a movie, you know, inspired by these goofy serials from the 30s and 40s. I can make Indiana Jones. I can make Raiders of the Lost Ark, you know, and that's what the basis was. the fourth movie takes place in the 50s. By then, serials are gone because TV has replaced them.
Right.
So the fourth movie in my opinion, is based on the B movies.
Right. Like, because the atomic movies.
So you'd go
stuff.
see a double feature. Yeah, you'd go see a double feature, and you'd see, you would see, I don't know, Rebel Without a Cause, and then right below that, it would be another film, and it would be the Rock Around the Clock or something with Mamie Van Doren in it, and so the fourth movie is based around the B movie, and the B movie was always a little bit more goofy, a little bit more ludicrous in the fact, like you said, he survived a nuclear explosion. And that's what the fourth movie is the basis of. That, in my opinion, that's the way I see it in my eyes.
No, I can see it once it I've never heard it really broken down like that. So like a lot of people just see it as like, oh, it's strictly Indiana Jones, this and this, and like they haven't really like broken down. I'm sure there has, but I just never heard it that way. A lot of people just take it at face value and just be like, oh, it's strictly Indiana Jones,
right?
But yeah, but.
Well, I'm a film geek. I'm a film geek, so what the hell?
Yeah, I mean, what was the movie that I can't think of the movie like that everyone just like totally dogs on it, and I'm like, that's not a bad movie. It's like I think it's a legacy sequel, and I'm like, no, I don't think it's not Ghostbusters. I can't think. I'll think of it as the show goes on, but I'm just like,
that's fine.
It's just like, like I really liked that movie, and it's just like, for the same reasons, I think I just like, just kind of just broke it down.
The funny thing is that if there's a movie out there that like 90% of the people hate, I'm probably gonna wind up loving it.
Yeah,
because I see it through a different pair of glasses. That's just me. The Fablemans. The Fablemans was an awesome movie, dude. I love this from start to finish. I couldn't get enough of it. And
sorry. So compared like to old Spielberg to now Spielberg, I still think he has that story. He still is able to tell a good story.
He's still able to, and that's the one thing I think I like about Close Encounters as compared to a lot of the other stuff he's done, like Schindler's List, and everything else was written by other people.
Mm-hmm.
I like when Spielberg actually gives me a piece of himself.
Yeah,
this was his story.
Yeah, I had kind of forgotten about that aspect of it when I was watching this, but then when he started doing oh, you okay, buddy? When he started doing the home movies, and I'm just like, oh, this is him. This is Spielberg. Like, this is his.
Yeah, right.
I'm like, that took me a minute to like realize I'm like, oh yeah, I forgot. Like when he did like the whole war sequence movie, when with the with the 2x4s and the dirt and everything. Like, I remember Spielberg talking about that. I mean, like I've watched I watched interviews galore with him and talk. So I love this story.
Yeah.
Like I at all. And like Seth Rogen was like what little amount he was in this movie, he was fantastic.
I didn't even recognize him right away. It was so annoying. It was. I'm like that dude sounds so familiar. Who the hell is that? And it wasn't until they finally had like I think it was like when they're sitting around the table having like Thanksgiving dinner. I'm sitting there going, I just know I know him from somewhere. And it started to click a little bit. And then then they were out camping. And they were sitting around the fire. Oh, Seth Rogen. That's it finally clicked.
Like even
whoa.
Like he kept his his distinct laugh to a little bit out of it. So it's just like, oh
yeah.
So
Michelle Williams did an awesome job as the mother.
See, that's who I didn't recognize. I recognized everybody. I'm like I know who. She looks so familiar, and just like, And it was just like that haircut and just the way her presentation on screen is like I just didn't like click that was her. I had a feeling that it was like who like I knew it felt like her, but it just like that can't be. And that like I think that just shows you how good of an actress she is or an actor.
Oh, exactly. Yeah. Now, from Dawson's Creek to The Fablemans, you know.
To an Oscar
I mean,
nominated.
honestly, that's yeah.
Um,
Yeah, I love this movie. When they were doing like when he was trying to come up with all the real
oh,
DIY ways
yeah,
of doing stuff, you know, for his movies. That was a lot of the stuff I really loved. He where
same.
where he where he poked a hole through the film
Yeah, to make muzzle flashes. Yeah.
to make muzzle flashes, you know. I
Um,
sat there and I went, "That's genius. I would have never thought of that."
trying to think. Yeah, or just with the I know with the ice cream on the beach and stuff when he's like he looks at the bird and pans down and just a drip of ice cream is like and it just showing like it looks like the bird has like
Like
done something on the
yeah.
guy and girl and it was just like oh my god like that's just a simple technique and it was just like hi buddy it was just
It's very
this I love that I mean this
it's
movie
it,
was
it
good and
yeah,
like
it's very inspirational to filmmakers everywhere. I mean, I could see people going, "Oh wow, you don't need CGI. You just need a needle and a film."
right
Muzzle
uh,
flash.
right. But yeah, like, and then obviously there is like a much kind of deeper through line throughout the movie. Um,
Right.
I think Spielberg did really well is that it made it like when you're watching the stuff with the kid, and then when you see the mom interacting with Seth Rogen's character, it there's like it felt off, you know, like it didn't feel the
Yeah.
same with he was talking to his or when the mom was interacting with his dad or her husband and everything, and it was just like you could clearly tell that something was just not right in the state of Denmark, you know. and
Right.
oh, what's
Yeah.
wrong, buddy?
This movie was just so awesome, dude. I'm glad you enjoyed it. Um, I this was one of those movies. Like I said, I'm not the biggest Spielberg fan, but when this movie came out and Spielberg was out there doing the press junket tour for it, and he's like
Yeah,
he would tell the story that he had an uncle that would take him to the theater, you know, and he's the one that got him hooked on movies. I was like, okay, I need to see this movie. I like to see these kinds of dramas or bio type stuff, you know. So yeah, I definitely say that this was well worth watching. I
yeah,
wish
and
I'd have seen it in theater. I didn't, but I do wish I would have.
it goes by pretty fast too.
For being like 2.5 hours long, yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
like because
I
I
mean,
think
it's over and you're going, I want a little bit more.
you get so caught up with like him wanting to make like the whole aspect of the filmmaking part of it, and then like the drama with his mom, and everything. It was just like I was just like even though I hate watching movies in chunks, but like it didn't um, feel like it was a chore to get through or anything. Like I'm like, oh, I'm about to start this movie. And it was just like,
Right.
oh, but uh, was there anything that you didn't like about the movie?
Actually, no. I mean, I can usually go, oh well, okay. One small caveat:
Okay.
when you get to the end of the movie, right? Um, I wanted to see. I mean, we'd already watched him develop into a filmmaker,
Mm-hmm.
right? But I wanted to see him show his first big movie.
Oh yeah.
Not just go in and meet, you know, meet the guy and and then just go. I wanted, I wanted something where where okay, this is my first. Whether the movie is a big hit or a bomb or whatever, just
Yeah.
walking into the theater or like here I am at my premiere or I wish we'd have seen that, but we already know where that. I mean, I guess Spielberg's like, well, you already know the story where it picks up from,
Yeah. I did.
I love.
Really, you too. I did like.
I don't know if I agree with that.
Oh yeah, real buddy. Okay. I did like. I was actually pretty proud of myself when he walked into the office of, and then they slowly, when he realized whose office it was in that first poster, I'm like, oh no, it's John Ford's.
Yeah.
Like, oh my,
John Ford's office.
I know. I know my history. And
she wore a yellow ribbon. All the John Wayne westerns, and all the other stuff.
And then I really liked him go to the painting, talk where's the horizon? He's like, here. He's like, next one, here. And then he told him when the horizon's in the middle of the screen, it's nothing interesting. It's when it's at the top and bottom. I'm like, and then the final shot of the movie is the camera tilting up, and I'm like, I'm like that.
It was a good ending. I don't deny that. I just wanted that little dash more of just something.
I get that.
But I did love the movie. I'm not gonna fault it on that.
Did you ever watch The Offer?
The Offer.
Yeah, it's about the making of The Godfather.
Oh, I've watched so I have The Godfather on DVD and I also have it on Blu-ray. And I've not watched the movie version of The Offer, but I've listened to everything that they've had to go through to get it get it made.
And well, that's kind of what made me think. I was like, I need to look it up. I want that guy who was talking about Hogan's Heroes. I'm like, is that supposed to be Alan Ruddy? Is that supposed to be him? I keep because
right.
Because obviously we know it's not going to be Evans, but it was just I couldn't remember if that was going to be just kind of like a Alan Ruddy character. But that movie was so good. I actually have you. I just like we talked about. I just like movies that kind of show you the DIY-ness of how movies are made, and that's why I liked Be Kind, Rewind, with Jack Black, and how they did the whole let's recreate all the movies with just homemade objects and everything, and I really liked that, how they did all that in that movie.
Yeah.
Oh, okay, buddy.
No, that like I said. You are one active little guy.
Yeah, he
doesn't quite know what he wants to do.
Right. He wants to he's just all over the place. He has his favorite TV show right now. It's Miss Rachel. It's like a little kids TV show. Ashley teaches him how to learn and everything, and he likes it. And he's probably wanting that right now, but he'll be all right. I'm trying to think.
Yeah, I can't fault this movie very much. I mean, the movie just was awesome.
And I think Spielberg, still has it. I haven't watched West Side Story yet. I haven't watched that one yet. I'm a little behind on his movies, just a little bit. But
see, that one I'm a little iffy about because I love the original.
Okay.
Dude,
Like,
the original has Natalie Wood in it. I mean, how do you top that?
have I seen the original? I think
I've
I
always
have.
had a crush on Natalie Wood. So
Oh, okay. All right. I'll be right back.
you do that. But yeah, I will just talk. But yeah, I don't know. I haven't seen that one, and I don't know what else. I mean, he's done some good stuff. It's just a matter of, like I said, I mean, I'm not Schindler's List. Saving Private Ryan is an awesome film. But I think with that material, anybody could have pulled off an awesome film. Um, Schindler's List, again, he did a lot of movies that were based on books, and there's nothing wrong with that. But I really like it when the director and the writer are the same person, and they're showing more of a creative mind. Rather than just going. I mean, I like Jurassic Park. I like all the Jurassic Park movies, even 3. Yeah. Wow. But yeah, I think anyone with that kind of material can make an awesome film. I always feel that as long as you have a good story, no matter who the actor is, the movie's going to be awesome. Because you can have, I've said this before a long time ago in my early videos, and that is, you put the worst actor in the movie with the best story, you're still going to have the best movie. Because people are following the story rather than just looking at the worst actor. But if you put the best actor in a movie with the worst story, they're gonna crap all over the fact that what is this person doing in this movie with this real garbage story, and it's not going to turn out very good. That they could be an Oscar-winning actor for all we know. I mean,
Okay. What are you talking about?
I was talking about the fact that, I mean, I went back on Spielberg and I was saying that anyone can have the career that Spielberg has if they had access to the same because he made a lot of movies that were based on books. And so
Yeah.
I don't know if you remember this, but a long time ago in my early videos, I used to talk about this a lot. I'm like, you could take the worst actor and put them in a movie that has the best story, and you could still have the best movie. No one's looking at the worst actor. They're following the really cool story.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
I remember.
But if you put the best actor, someone that's got like 5 Oscars, and and you put them in a movie with the worst story, they're gonna crap all over the actor. They're gonna say, why is that person in this movie and with that story, and they're gonna crap all over the story. That's what I was talking about.
Like, what was her name? I can't. No, man, I'm just drawing blanks today. But yeah, I totally agree with that because it's you. As long as you have a good story, like you can kind of forgive a lot.
The story's a foundation.
Yeah. I'm trying to. Yeah, I'm trying to think. I'm actually like trying to look at. I don't normally film over here.
I know.
Uh,
But no, I mean, dude, you could put Tommy Wiseau in like the best. You could put Tommy Wiseau in a movie that's got like the best story, and even though he's a total garbage actor, they're gonna forget about him and they're just gonna follow the story.
Oh yeah, like I think. Did you ever watch The Disaster Artist?
I've seen the Room. I've seen the actual movie, The Room. So I did not want to have to sit through something like that again. And I
I don't.
can't stand James Franco.
Oh, really? I forget you don't. Like I think we brought this up
I think
before.
his brother's the better actor.
I think that's what we talked about. I think that's Dave is the better actor. Yeah, because I think
Yeah.
yeah, I think because I liked him in Neighbors. I think I love him in Now You See Me. I love those movies. Um, what
Yeah.
other ones? He's he just like he plays these little bit parts, but he's so good in them, and it's just he's just and he I think he just has
He's
a little bit
subtle.
more. Yeah, and he has a little bit more of a charisma than James,
Yeah.
or his brother. Like
James Franco comes on the scene and he's like, "Look, I'm James Franco. I'm going to do what I want to do, and I'm going to leave." And Dave Franco's like, "Okay, yeah, that guy that just left, that's my brother, but I'm not him."
right. I think I remember us having that conversation because I'm like, yes, Dave is the better actor. He's the one that I actually kind of like. Oh, he's in this. I can actually I didn't realize he was in this. I'm like that kind of moments, and um, it's kind of like with I'm trying to think like did you seen Hateful Eight, haven't you?
Oh yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
I've seen every
So
Tarantino film.
yeah.
So
So when I've seen that movie, I'm like Dave is always to me like there's always kind of a knit group like him, like Hill, Zac Efron. Like for some reason, it's like um, what is it? When Channing Tatum's name popped up on the screen, I'm like, I didn't realize he was in that movie. They kept that movie. They kept that a pretty good secret. And I'm like, and and my buddy were like, did we just
yeah,
read that
yeah, they did.
right? Like he's in a Tarantino movie. But that's kind of like he's not the best actor in the world, but that he is in a movie that has a good story. That's what and his little part in the movie is like he's
He's not the best actor in the world, but he also likes to. The thing that I like about Channing Tatum is that he doesn't take himself seriously. He's willing to poke fun at himself. He knows he's been in a movie called Magic Mike.
right. See, that's why I love actor like like I think that's why I never sought out to like oh I'm going to watch a Jared Leto movie because he's a very method actor you know
Right.
and but I'm like I'm just like nope I'm good. I like when Morbius came out like I haven't seen it yet but I would only watch it because it's a Marvel property not because Jared Leto's in it
You haven't seen Morbius yet?
no I can't bring my I
It's
haven't
actually
brought my
really good.
is it
I Morbius is one of my favorite Marvel characters, and
okay.
I don't like Jared Leto at all, but I loved him in this movie.
I'm gonna have to check. I don't know where it's at to what. I think it's on some
I
stream.
I think Jared Leto comes off as because when I hear all the stories about like the crap he pulls on sets, just makes me think, what a dick, you know.
Right.
He's just
I
and that's why if I hear he's attached to something, I'm like, boy, he better be good in it because like this Morbius again. Morbius is one of my favorite Marvel characters in the comics. A guy that's trying to cure himself of something,
mm-hmm.
but winds up infecting himself and becoming a living bat. Human bat, basically man bat. But but yeah, I really dug the story. I loved it. I had to. It was one of those movies I had to pick up during Black Friday because I was like, well, you know what? If it's going to be cheap enough, I'm going to grab it, even if it's got Jared Leto in it. You
So
know,
in Jared Leto's defense, I do like um what's it called? He has a documentary out about his band, like 30 Seconds to Mars. I think that's his band.
I like the band.
Yeah. Oh yeah. And they were talking about how like somehow like I'm sure that you know this, but like you know how record like music or CDs or albums never really make any money. You know, like
Right.
but they're
It's all about the merchandise.
right, like where's the money at that we made? You know, like they were trying to figure out where the money's going and where like why are they in debt? Even though the album made like clearly enough to pay everything, but like they're still saying that they're in debt, and so they secretly kind of like make an album, and but like the record studio is like, no, that's our album. You can't be doing this. Like whatever you release, it's still ours. You know,
Well,
or
they might have a contract that they owe so many albums to
yeah,
that label. You know, they're like, well, we got you for a 5 album contract, and so no matter what they put out, it's like that's ours. That's then you got to say tough. You know, you got to read the bottom line. Look what happened
yeah.
to TLC, man.
Oh,
TLC was the biggest R&B group in the '90s. I mean, you have 3 girls that could sing, one that raps, um, and they were exploding like nothing. And then someone
mm-hmm.
said, "How is it that TLC had to file for bankruptcy?" And they're like, "Well, Lisa Left Eye Lopez says, okay, here's the math. Okay, you guys sit down and do the math. Say we sell 1 million albums. Okay, fine." She goes, "There's 100 points on every album. TLC gets I want to think I think she said something like we get 7 points. 7 points. Seven so basically 7 cents on the dollar is what she's saying. You
Yeah,
know, and she goes, and then there's all these other people. She goes, so we get 7 points divided, and that's not 7 points apiece. That's 7 points. So
for
those
the
seven
three.
points got to be divided between the 3 of them. And then they have to pay off the studio guys, the engineers, all this stuff. She says
Mm-hmm.
when it all came down to it, we owed more than we made,
Yeah,
and they made something like $50,000 in like 1 year. And the album that they put out sold something like 10 million copies, and they had to take Pebbletone Records to to court. It was just a
mm-hmm.
whole shady deal, and you're just kind of like, dude. I mean, the music business is shady as hell.
Oh yeah, like just that documentary. It was. I don't really watch music documentaries. It just that I like documentaries. Just music ones just don't really intrigue me. But I was
Yeah,
by it. And I'm
it
just like,
depends.
yeah. They just like I had a friend like you should check this out, and so I checked it out, and I was just like, wow, it like it really is a shady business. Like look what like between what even Taylor Swift, what the biggest music artist in the world right now, she's even having troubles just or she did have troubles get her own music, you know.
I love the way she went about it, though. I love the way she. So Scooter, whatever his freaking last name is, her ex manager bought up all her masters
Yeah.
from from the from the label that put out her albums. And so he's like, "That's I own all your masters, so I own all your music. So anytime you want to play a song, or you want to, I'm going to make money off of you. And she's just going,
Mhm.
okay, fine, you can own all my masters, but there's a loophole. This happened to Styx.
Didn't
Yeah,
really.
this
Uh,
happened to Styx back in the '90s. Um, Styx wanted to put out their first 2 albums, but they couldn't. But there's a loophole in music contracts that if you re-record the album, then it's yours. That's
uh,
your new master. And that's what she did. She's like, fine, you can own my masters, but you don't own my music. You own my masters.
yeah.
So she recorded all her music all over again,
Yeah.
and she has all these new, all that they're now called something like the, whenever she puts out a new album, and it's a new version of an old album. It's like the Taylor Swift version of whatever her title is, because
Yeah,
I don't follow her music, but
yeah, I know what you're talking. I think that you're about right. I think it's like Taylor's version or something like that.
yeah,
Uh,
like
but
Awakening Taylor Swift or something like that.
um, but speaking of music, I liked how the I like the music. Just kind of swing it back to the
Swing back
Fablemans.
to Fablemans, yeah.
I like the music, like the way he had to do the music for the movies. You know, his homemade movies. Like he had to have like a separate audio track playing to
Yeah.
because couldn't record a soundtrack with the current film that he had and everything. And like to me, I would like to have like you said, I would like to have seen his movie blown up at a premiere or whatever, and just kind of like with a movie with an actual soundtrack and everything, and like that'd been a nice little PS.
Yeah.
Or like
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Can't I can't fault the movie by the way it ended, because it still ended on a really, really cool note. It's just that one little bit of flavor. That's all
mhm.
I would have asked for. But
Or
yeah,
like
I love the creativity.
I would have
Just the way he wanted to come up with the way he had to do things. Like you said, the music, the special effects, you know. It reminded me a lot of 5/25/77.
I,
Oh,
oh
you haven't seen that?
no, yeah, took me a minute to realize what the date was. Yes, that the movie about the guy who was counting down to see Star Wars. Like,
Right.
yeah, took me. Yeah, I
Yeah.
have it. So yes, because because my obviously I'm a big Star Wars fan. My dad is too. So me and him we kept up on it. Like that movie was in the making for several years, and
12
I like
years.
yeah.
12 years.
And when you watch the
The
movie,
guy that was the guy that was the lead in that movie
yeah,
filmed that movie, and then they had to put it away for a while. Went on to do Bones
yeah,
for like for like so many years, right? John Francis Daly, that's his name.
yeah,
Went on to do Bones. Bones was on for like 12 years, and he was in it for like 11 of those 12 years, you know.
yeah. At
And
least,
then when he was gone, when he's done doing that, let's go finish up this movie. Yeah, you could tell that he's like older in certain
yeah.
scenes. You're like, dude,
Like
but
the movie,
whatever.
the movie can be very jarring if you don't quite understand what's going on in the movie. Like it's using these optical effects and these DIY effects and it's all the kind of like the ways they would film the first Star Wars movie and everything
Yeah.
and I really loved that part in the movie where he gets to visit the set of Star Wars. I
Yeah.
loved it. And he talking to Spielberg and everybody, and it was just and he got to see Star Wars. He was technically, I think he his claim to fame is like he's the first person to see Star Wars. I think, right?
He saw the work. He saw the work print. He didn't even see the
Right,
full. Because he
right.
got to see, he got to see where it said like insert special effects here and stuff
Yeah.
like that. And it's like, dude.
And so he just kept trying to get everyone to go see this movie and everything. And I'm just like, that's me. Like I like you. Like that's the early days, like, man, you should really go see such and such movie. I know you may not like such and such, but or like this ain't your type of movie, but like this is a fun movie. Like it's these some like you have to experience movies on the big screen, and that's just
I agree.
like
I agree. There are certain movies you have to see on the big screen. I mean, I remember seeing Star Wars, the very first Star Wars movie in the theater, and I've told this story on my channel many times. And the very opening scene the where the destroyer comes overhead,
uh
I remember ducking. The Star Destroyer it just comes. on the screen. I remember going like this, and I'm like, it's a movie. but, but yeah, my mom has the same reaction to Jaws. She remembers in Jaws when the shark first came up out of the water, she lifted her feet in the theater.
That's funny.
So it's the little things. It's the little things that get us. But
Yeah.
if you haven't seen the Fablemans, what would you rate the Fablemans, man?
How would I rate it? I would definitely. It's not. So this is a tough one. I think because it's a little bit of it's. I don't know if I'm going. I don't know how to do it with my rating scale. Because time will tell if it's a classic or not. But I definitely think I think it's definitely best watched with a group of fellow film aficionados. Like it's like get together
Okay.
and oh, let's watch the Fablemans all together. But it's people who have to have a
Knowledge
knowledge of either Spielberg, you can tell he used that shot for this particular movie or whatever, and just your love for that time period, or
right.
because I like movies set in the past like that, in the 50s and 60s and stuff. It's just because the design of everything. That's why I liked. That's why I absolutely love Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, is because that movie is so well set dressed. It
Yeah.
really, really feels like that time period, because
Yeah. It
of course,
feels like Tarantino really threw you back there, man.
yeah, I'm reading his book, his first book, that he not a novelization, his actual first written book, cinema explanation or something like that, or speculation or something, where he's talking about the movies that he watched in theaters during the 70s, and he's talking about all of them, and it's just this guy knows his movies, and no wonder you love him or hate him, it's just you can't deny that he's a good filmmaker. You can't take
All
that away
right.
from him.
Yeah.
And with that aspect of it all, it's kind of same with Spielberg. It's love him or hate him, or he's a little bit more in between. I think people are kind of feel a little bit. There's a little in between with him more than
Yeah.
Tarantino. Uh, it's just you like Spielberg will have at least one movie that you have seen and will remember forever. It's either going to be
I agree
Jurassic
with
Park.
that.
Jurassic Park is
Jurassic Park, Raiders,
like
E.T. You can pick a decade. The nice thing is that between 1970 and now, you can pick a decade and you can say, okay, what's your favorite Spielberg movie of the 70s? And you can say Jaws, you can say Close Encounter. You can pick. There's not a giant plethora when it comes to 70s, because
right.
he was just starting out. But when you get to the 80s, 90s, and the 2000s on up, you're like, oh, Schindler's List, Saving Private Ryan,
Yeah.
and I mean, someone showed me a thing on the other day on Facebook that said, oh, here's my Spielberg shelf, and I'm looking at all this stuff, and I'm like, okay, that's cool. But I had to comment on this. He had Goonies in there, and I'm like,
That's a Richard Donner movie.
yeah, that's a Richard Donner. Exactly. Thank you. I'm like, I think he helped write the story, but he didn't have anything to do with
I
really.
that is a Richard Donner movie, just
Yeah.
because you can tell when it's a Spielberg movie, when about kids and everything, but Donner has a little bit more of a whimsical feel to it. That's
It's
how
more
I can't.
youthful.
Yes, yeah. It's just they're just a. If you don't know the directors, you will probably won't understand. But I know you will understand. You understand this. It's just he just has a feel to his movies, just like Spielberg has a feel to his movies, and it's like
Exactly. Yeah.
and same with Zemeckis. You know, they're all kind of like he has a certain feel when it comes to Back to the Future and what other movies like just
Right. I mean, no one's going to say that Back to the Future is a Spielberg movie. He
right.
might have been a producer on that movie. He might have made a few suggestions. Like they wanted originally, it was supposed to be a refrigerator. Or
Right.
no, was it a refrigerator or it was either a refrigerator or a washing machine, one of the two
I thought it was a
that they were
refrigerator
supposed to use as the yeah.
because it
And
much
Spielberg
like
didn't want
because of Bill and Ted and everything, so they kind of wanted to do something different, and that's why they made it a
well,
car.
Bill and Ted came way later.
It, oh, okay.
But no, I thought it was the fact that he didn't want kids. Spielberg didn't want kids climbing into old refrigerators and getting suffocating.
Yeah, that was it. Yeah.
You know, but I mean, he might have made a few suggestions like that here and there, but in no way am I going to say Back to the Future is a Spielberg film. That's a
Oh,
Zemeckis film,
oh,
hands down.
it's right. Like I know those three are kind of like
Well, they're
in
thick
the
as thieves when it comes to being friends, but
right.
still, I mean, when
Um.
you watch the making of Back to the Future,
Mm-hmm.
Zemeckis is like all over it. He's like, well, we had this script like so many years. I mean, they had that script went around Hollywood for like about 5 years before anyone would take a chance on it. You know,
Right.
so
Um. Yeah, like you were talking about, like some movies just get a little bit more of a Spielberg credit than it actually is. Like he may, like you said, he may have like done a few suggestions, but like though Back to the Future is Zemeckis, Richard Donner is um, Goonies,
Goonies, yeah,
then
yeah,
uh, and stuff like that. It's like it's best way I can describe it is like if you watch Stand by Me and you put Goonies next to each other, the feel of those two movies are very drastically different, and that's how it kind of with Spielberg and Donner is. You know, it's like you got
but Stand by Me is Rob Reiner.
right, yeah. But
Yeah,
I was like have like try
yeah.
comparison of movies.
No, I know what you're getting at. You're getting at the feel of the movie, but yeah,
Yeah.
it's like I mean, you could. It's the same thing with The Sandlot.
Oh,
The Sandlot, are Goonies, or Bad News. Sandlot and the original Bad News Bears,
right.
completely different. I mean, it's the same story, but completely different feels.
Mm-hmm. Just a bunch of kids playing baseball and like kind of like getting away with what they want to do, and but it's like one's a little bit more wholesome and whatever, and one's a little bit more foul mouth. You know, Tanner. I think that's his
Yeah,
kid's name.
Ex-
Yeah.
Tanner. Yeah.
So
No, you're talking about the right kid. Yeah, that kid wanted to take on
so
the world and more.
right. Uh, but yeah, like that's like back to the like my rant or my tangent. Like yeah, that's why I kind of think Fablemans is a best watch with a group. As long as like maybe or watch with somebody. Like I would watch this with my dad
Yeah,
because
I
I
your
because
dad would
he
really appreciate it.
yeah because I watched Jaws for the first time with him. He showed me Raiders and everything. So like watching Spielberg talk about like make a
Your
movie about himself, like
Yeah,
so
your dad raised you on old western, so he would really get a kick out of the
that
John
John
Ford
Ford,
thing. You
yeah,
know,
and so yeah, like
um,
know my I know my John Wayne movies, and because even my grandpa and everything, so it's like I know that stuff, and so when I seen like The
yeah,
Searcher stuff like that, I'm like, oh, I've seen that, or I was
I
and
love that
or
movie. That is one of my all time favorite movies, man. The Searchers.
what was
Oh
it? I
God,
was trying some of the other ones around the thing. I'm like, oh, a couple of them I have not seen. I don't think, but most of them, like, yep, I've seen that. I'm like, that's why that first poster showed up. I'm like, yep, it's John Ford. I knew it.
Yeah, yeah.
But yeah, that's my rating because it's
yeah. Go
go
ahead.
ahead.
My
That's just my
rating
rating.
is simple. I'm gonna go, dude. I'm just gonna say it. It's an instant classic. It's
Oh
an
yeah.
yeah. I really think I agree with you. I agree with you that if you really want to watch a movie and you want to experience the movie, have it with people that are also film geeks.
Mm-hmm.
That way they will get exactly what you're talking about. Those references. You could even watch this movie and then watch like The Searchers, as a double feature, just
Right.
because of the John Ford thing. You can watch some of the movies that they referenced in this movie, and I think that in itself makes it very wholesome and makes it more of an instant classic. And Michelle Williams and Seth Rogen just kill it in this movie. I
Oh,
mean,
we haven't touched on him, but I think Paul Dano was really good in this
Paul
movie.
Dano. Yeah, thank you. I couldn't think of his name for the
Yeah.
longest time.
I,
Yeah,
the thing is, like, he always plays. I've never seen him play this type of character. I've seen him in plenty of movies. There Will Be Blood,
yeah.
right? Um, he played the Riddler in the new Batman movie, The Batman. He was excellent in that. Um,
I hated that
then
movie.
played the brother in Little Miss Sunshine. So he's played a nice wide range of characters, but he's never been like the kind of like the soft spoken dad character. And I'm just like, oh man,
Yeah,
he's just really good in this. He's just like, and like you can like with the whole thing with the mom and Seth Rogen's character. I think Beanie, I think that's his name. Um, like we talked about how the feel of it just felt off. Like there's something going on between those two, and I just feel like the dad knew it all along. I think it just
I don't think
like
he did. I honestly,
like
the only reason I don't think he knew
not
is because
hurt like the mom because the way there was a particular shot at the table when she's talking. Sorry, when she was talking about like you're here to explain him and the way they looked at each other, and then it shot to the mom, and the mom just kind of like looked at him and like the mom knew something was up. Like that. That's
I think
that's who
the
I.
I just don't I think that Paul Dano's character was so into his own world because he was an inventor.
Yeah.
He would go out and he would buy up someone's broken washing machine just so he could turn it into a Xerox copy or something like that.
Mm.
And he was in his own world. He married, in the movie, he marries Michelle Williams. They have kids. They've gone through the mechanics of having sex and kids,
Mm-hmm.
but his heart was never into the family.
Right.
He's
Like
supporting his family, but his heart.
and
And so when something happens with Seth and Michelle, I think his head is too far in the clouds,
mm,
you know, to realize what's going on around him.
yeah, like I agree now. Like I was thinking of the mom. I'm sorry on that one.
Oh,
Because
the mom, yeah.
yeah, like spoiler. I think the mom knew something was up just because she just knows her daughter, and then obviously she knows she's been in the house and knows everybody for so long. It's just like I think she knew that something was going on, and then you said like Dano's character, the dad, he was just too far into like his own world because you clearly when they show like a shot of their garage or whatever, you see the same TV stacked like 50 times against this
Yeah.
giant wall, and just like he's just like, oh, we're going to like these are good for our transistors and whatnot and like he whatever he was
Right.
at the time. So
Yeah. And that was the hardest part about that movie to watch was the fact that Paul Dano's character, um, he he influenced this kid. You know, he's like, oh, well, it's great that you're doing this as a hobby,
Yeah.
but he never, you know, he was always like, he'd always say something like, yeah, but you're doing this, but you need to actually go and do something that's going to better, you know, make a better life for people. And he couldn't appreciate the art that would,
Right.
you know, that. And I that was the hardest part about that. You just, by the time the movie's over, your heart kind of breaks
Mm-hmm.
for that guy.
Because because he did try that, and that's why at the end of the movie, with that big kind of emotional scene with his dad, like he was having a panic attack, like because he
Yeah.
couldn't go to school no more. He couldn't do the normal job. Like his heart was in art. You know, I'm
Art.
like, I hate to say it
Yeah.
that way, like, but yeah.
No, there's nothing wrong with saying it that way. That's exactly what I mean. That's, yeah. So yeah,
Um,
I think that this is an instant classic. I do think that if you watch it with other people that are also film geeks, they'll really appreciate it.
mhm.
You know, but you got to find those film geeks that are like you and I, that like the older movies, because you can't just take a, you know, someone that's going to only know the movies from the last 25 years. They're going
Right.
to sit down there and go, okay, yeah, it's a good movie, but I
Oh,
didn't get it. You know, it's like, okay, well then you need to
so
do you need to do more research.
when he went, like when he was at the beach, I immediately was like, "Oh, he's going to make a beach movie, you know, like a summer beach movie." Or I can't think of the actual term. I'm like, I'm struggling on that part.
Yeah.
I'm like, oh, yeah, so it's going to have like I already knew what the soundtrack was going to sound like. I already knew,
The
um,
the
like,
Frankie and Annette thing, you know.
and they were going to have like that that specific guitar sound, and you know, it's just like,
That
and
Dick
everything.
Dale. Yeah.
And I'm like, I'm like, I already knew, like, because the filmmaker and me, you know, like that's how I would do it, and everything, and I'm looking at the camera, and I'm like, oh man, he got a nice lens on this one, on this particular camera. It's like his films are actually going to look nice and look good, and he had that little nice shoulder strap, just keep it steady and everything, and I'm just like, so I'm like, so yeah, it's like this stuff just like tickles my funny bone, you know, and it just loves it and
Yeah.
tickles my,
Yeah.
because you see, Sin City, on the DVD, there you can watch the entire movie without the special effects, and it's just like
Right.
that. That's so cool. I'm like to me that just like, I'm like, that's like, oh, all like that particular shot where Clive Owen's driving the car, and all they did was just raise the camera, turn the car, raise the camera back down, and it was like, it looked like the road, like they just like the road was like taking a corner or whatever. I'm just like, that to me, just like that's filmmaking. You know, like the camera
Especially
tricks
when
and
it's something simple like that. Yeah,
yeah,
I love camera tricks. That's why, you know, I do my pop in, you know,
right.
in my
Oh,
videos.
we
I
are
do my
indeed.
pop in, and it wasn't until I started editing. If you watch my very first video, you know, my first like year or so of doing videos, there's no editing. It's just raw and coming at you live. And then I found out that at the time, Windows had Movie Maker on it, and so I taught myself how to use Movie Maker. I'm like, oh, I could do a pop in. You know,
Yeah,
I know how they did the, you know, not just pop ins, but how they would make stuff appear. I know in the back of my head because I've seen enough movies on how they do this. I'm like,
right.
oh, you just do this, this, and this, and and that's how Wolfie got his pop in. And I was like, ever since then, I've always thought it was like cool.
Your
Hobbs,
thing. Yeah. Um, what was it? That's how things with. See, I didn't have editing equipment at the time, but me and my cousin, when we would make movies, we would have to edit as we shot. So that's how I learned how to edit was like, okay, we're gonna do this shot, and then we'll stop, and then we'll do this shot, and then we stop, and then when we film, and when it plays all together, it's like it plays like a full movie. And like yes, like I know what I'm doing, you know. It's just simple stuff like that, because me and my cousin's first movies we made together were claymation movies, like stop motion.
Dude,
Those were the first movies I ever made, was stop motion claymation wrestling movies.
that's crazy.
I need
That's crazy.
to go to
That's
my
something. I mean, no, don't start with something simple like a flip book. No, don't do that whatsoever. Let's just jump right into the deep end and go with claymation. Oh my
yeah.
God.
Obviously rude, very rough, and and there were shots where the camera was just sitting there, and me and my cousin were doing commentary. But then when the wrestling started happening, you can hear me hitting the button, and it's like go and stop and go, and it's like it was so rudely crude done. But I'm like, but that's what we did, and it looked. And there was points where we were actually decent at it, but we did the bare minimum characters. We just took a stick of blue, stick of red, formed some legs, and and that's all we did. And it was just like, that was fun. I would love to do it again. I would love to try to do claymation again.
Yeah, that's crazy.
I need to look at how to do it with modern cameras, because I do have a very good camera now. But I'm filming on my phone right now. But yeah,
so
claymation
to get that's crazy, dude. I just can't imagine trying to do that. I have no talent. See, my thing is I have no talent whatsoever when it comes to sculpting. So it would just look like a brick of blue and a brick of red. Bend, 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 come, bend, bend. That's all you would see, because I have no talent. I mean, I would try to do it, right? I'm like, okay, I can make like a Gumby type character, and it's like, okay, but I would screw it up too much. I don't know. I don't have that talent. I wish I did. Off topic, but do you guys remember Clay Fighter? LOL. It was a fantastic video game. I don't remember Clay Fighter, but I remember Celebrity Deathmatch.
Yeah, I remember both. I think Celebrity Deathmatch is a little bit more prominent in my head, just because I was such a big fan of the show.
Yeah,
and
everyone showed up on it.
Right, Clay Fighter. I don't think I ever got to play it, but I know of it. If that makes sense. It just
okay. I don't even recognize the name. But going back to what we were talking about when it comes to so here's a list of movies that you could. I mean, if you're a filmmaker,
so
right?
I was going to.
If you're a filmmaker and you want to watch movies that kind of inspire you to make these movies, we've already talked about The Fablemans, and we've already talked about 52577. There's another movie that, if you're young enough, I think this movie would inspire anybody, and that's Super 8.
Oh yeah, I like Super 8, and that's James being Spielberg. Trying to make a Spielberg-esque movie.
That was yeah, and I just think, you got these, again, we're going back to kids again, going back to like Goonies and Stand By Me. Kids that want to make, they want to make this movie, and they're using it's 1979. It's Ohio. They're trying to do what they can to make the best movie that they can, and the kid that's the director and writer of the movie is kind of like, production value. All of a sudden, the train starts coming down the track. Everyone's got to swing everything around, and okay, when it comes by, just scream as loud as you can. Basically,
right?
I love that movie, dude. I've seen it so many times.
I've only watched it the once, but I like it because it's very reminiscent. It's an alien movie. It's right, or it's a
Yeah,
monster
yeah.
movie. Okay,
It's
either
an
one.
alien movie.
Yeah, and then it's like and then it's J.J. Abrams, and it's like the old Super 8 cameras, and it's just
Yeah.
like I like that, like we talked about, like I just like movies that have a little bit of the past in it, prominently in the movie. I'm trying to think of one for myself, like at least a movie like I had a whole list written down and I can't find it because I was like, oh, I know we're going to talk about other movies that do the same thing. I'm trying to think. I am like drawing a blank. um, what is trying?
How do you really draw a blank? I mean, there's no real effort into that. Here's
I
a
think
blank piece of paper. How do you
yeah,
draw?
you just drew a blank piece of paper. That's like it's you can't draw
But
anything.
you didn't draw anything. The paper was already blank to begin with.
Well, even recently with Clerks 3, with him um, wanting to make a movie about
There you
his life at
go.
a convenience store.
Well,
And
any of those, Jane Silent Bob Strike Back.
right, oh right, like just like movies about filmmaking is just or about the regardless of how cartoonish or how dark or how true to life it is, it's just the whole aspect of like a camera being involved, like a movie camera being part of it, is just, or a movie set, or
Yeah.
uh, like the stuff with the Alfred Hitchcock movie about the birds, where we're talking about
Right.
Tippy Head.
Right. Yeah.
That um, and that movie and how like abusive that he was supposed to be on set and everything. Um, I'm trying to think. I know there's like a really good one that I like absolutely love. That it's about a movie, making a movie, and I know we talked about the Disaster Artist. Um, that's not too bad.
There's tons of them, dude. There's like 8mm, which was, I mean, it's about the CD underground of
Right,
you know,
that was super dark. The snuff
yeah,
films,
yeah.
and Nick Cage is with.
Body Double.
Oh yeah. Oh man, I've seen that in a long
Brian De
time.
Palma, man. I mean, if we're talking about, love that movie. Um, but yeah, I mean, there's lots of them where they show you a
We're
to
forgetting.
quote to quote Wizard of Oz, they show you let you look behind the curtain.
Right. Tropic Thunder. You know.
Tropic Thunder.
Yeah, I forgot. I think that was the one I was thinking of. It was just like a bunch. It was just like how terrible a set could, like how wrong things could go on set, and just like yep, like just
Yeah,
pyrotechnics going off and everything. But yeah, it's just like the whole like that's I think like the Fablemans is just a good movie if you like the world of filmmaking and or Spielberg in general. Like if you don't know if you didn't know that was Spielberg, you would still enjoy this movie. Like, but me knowing
that's
that
a very good way of putting it. Yeah.
uh, it was still it's still good. Like it's because it's about this kid
Here's the
who just
sad thing. Here's the sad thing. I mean, I will I will sometimes pick on Spielberg for being like way too family friendly,
yeah
because he's he's the idiot. Spielberg's the idiot that created PG-13 and ruined all horror for the future.
yeah
You know, um, but I don't mind the family friendliness of this movie. This is one of
oh
those movies where I'm like, anyone could sit down and watch this. You're not going to be offended by the chopping off of heads or
or
gratuitous sex or whatever.
even when the daughter was trying to block the mom from dancing in the headlights, like, oh, we can see through your dress. I'm like, no, you can't. Like, in probably if you were like there, like, but the camera, the way the camera filmed it and everything, like, all you could see was just the silhouette of her in the dress. And but it was just
And
like,
what a silhouette.
but you could still watch that with family. Like, there
Yeah.
wasn't really like like you may have to explain a few things, like especially when it got to the California school, explaining why they were like being very what's the word? Anti-Semitic towards him, like using some of those harsher words, like I haven't heard in the movie in a while, um, and but I'm like, yeah, that's like what that Spielberg had to deal with that.
Right.
And so
So you said you watched another movie and you weren't going to tell me what it was.
I didn't get a chance to watch it. I fell asleep.
Okay.
But I was going to tell you what I was going to watch. Oh, hey man, how you doing? I was going to watch the movie with John Voight, the Dangerous Game. That's the one I was going to watch.
Oh, Dangerous Game Legacy. Yeah.
Yeah, that was
well worth checking out. Yeah.
because if I was going to watch that, I'm like, oh, we can start watching or start talking about like people being hunted movies, because like I love that subgenre.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's just
Well,
like
next time, you know.
Hunger Games, The Condemned. I know those are more recent ones, but I do like the older, like the Japanese movie, Battle Royale, and
Battle
just
Royale.
movies that just I like that aspect of just people being hunted or just have to be put in a
Dude,
situation.
before Battle Royale, Ice-T was in it was Ice-T, Gary Busey. They hired Ice-T to go up with them into this cabin in the woods, and then they let him loose, and they were surviving the game.
Oh, okay. I've heard about that. I have not checked it out, but I know of it. Like, as soon as we're doing really good. We've been talking about the Fablemans and just filmmaking in general. Like, do you have a favorite movie that takes place or about filmmaking? That's the question. Is like movie that
Yeah. Do you have a favorite movie that shows the filmmaking, or that you think would inspire filmmakers?
Yeah. So I'm a big fan of Death Proof. Bring it back to Tarantino.
Yeah.
Like that. Like, a lot of people don't like the second half of that movie, but I like that second half.
I love that.
Because
everything about that movie.
When all the girls are sitting around, they're talking about being a stunt woman, and the old car movies, which I love.
Right. Vanishing Point. And,
yeah,
dude, Barry, he just died.
Yeah, I saw
the
that.
guy that was the lead in Vanishing Point. He died at the age of like 93.
I didn't
or
realize
something like that. I'm like, how? Well, I didn't realize that he was. I'm like, well, just a second. That movie was only like 50 years old, so he was like in his 40s when he made it.
Oh, really?
It's like, whoa, But yeah.
But yeah,
dude. Charles Bronson didn't become really much of a name until he finally hit his 40s. I mean, you know who he is from like the Magnificent Seven and The Great Escape, but Death Wish was the one that put him on the map, and that's like 1972.
It's kind of the same with DDP. He's like one of my all-time favorite wrestlers. Like, he's literally like number 2 on my list, and he didn't start wrestling until he was like 35. That's when wrestlers are starting to wind down, and
he was a valet and a manager of wrestlers before that.
Right, he was with
Nash.
Right, I was like, he was with Vinny Vegas or whatever, or however they want to call him. Or he was like, and one of many Kevin Nash's gimmicks. um, but
He
yeah,
owned
it's
a
just
he owned that Cadillac he drove in at what was it, WrestleMania 4, WrestleMania 5, somewhere in there. He was the pink Cadillac. That was his car, and the only reason he got into the wrestling is because someone was looking for a car, and he's like,
uh,
"I got a car for it," and he goes, "I have one caveat: I get to drive it." And they're like, "Okay." And next thing you know, he's introduced to the WWE. You know, or at the
um,
time WWF.
right. Trying to think. Just I just movie, yeah, just or like people about being hunted or movies and
I
about.
think you would dig Surviving the Game just because
Oh,
of the cast in it.
okay.
Yeah,
Um,
that was one of the big ones. I mean, the whole idea of hunting people. I mean, they've been doing these movies forever. You know.
yeah. Did you ever watch Hunt? That movie
Yes, I
was.
love the hunt.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I thought that was really good. I know people blew that movie way out of proportion, when that first
I'm
came
like,
out.
oh my god, Emma Roberts is in this. This movie's gonna suck, and then I'm like, okay, I'm good.
Before we start, have you seen that movie? The Hunt has like Betty Gibson in it. I love her in that movie because I love Glow, and she's in it, and I think she's like fantastic in that movie. As like who else is in that movie that I'm like really surprised that was in it? Um, not um, not not who is that actress? Who she fights at the end of the movie? I can't think of her
Oh,
name.
I
That's bugging me now.
yeah.
Because she's it was just I like that movie through and through, and it's pretty dark. And the characters who I thought was going to may actually kind of have like some like decent names just get killed off. I'm like, oh my god! I'm like, that's funny, yeah, or like that's demented, or it just like I thought it was a good movie. Like I don't understand why people blew that movie out of proportion. Like I understand, but I'm like it was.
I know a lot of people that liked it though too. I mean, I didn't hear a lot of people, knocking it. Um, the one that gets me is like, so like I said, they've been doing this forever. But I don't know if you call it a hunting movie, uh, per se, but You're Next basically falls into that category.
No, I think
You
it does.
know,
Or and hide and seek. I like hide and seek. That movie,
Ready or Not.
yeah, um, yeah, that's it. Sorry, ready or not. Uh, I thought I'm like I'm not gonna give that ending away, but I'm like, are they going to do it? Are they going to pull the trigger on that ending, or whatever like the superstition is for the movie and everything? It's just like, please do it, and like I'm not gonna say it, like, but I'm just like, okay, I respect this movie. I always like that.
Yeah, Ready or Not was good.
Other movies about filmmaking. Um, Looking at my movies from this far away.
Hooper,
Um, oh,
the Burt Reynolds movie Hooper,
forgot about that one.
where it's all about the stunt maker, stuntman.
Yeah, I knew of that one. I hadn't watched that one. I'm gonna step off camera just because, or I'm it's gonna bug me.
Mayan. How are you doing this morning, man? I mean, you said you're doing well. Uh, I'm doing okay. Um, Call me a gentleman, though. Don't know if that's really quite right. Um, and he ran off again.
Yeah, no, I'm still here. I can hear you this time.
I'm just checking out your background as
Oh,
you're,
thank you.
you got that arrow pointing up. And you got all your wrestlers.
Yeah, I just added a bunch of new
And it's
ones.
kind of funny because out of all the wrestlers, I can see right away the two wrestlers, even though they're far, it's the two that are most distinguished. I can see that you got Ric Flair in a pink robe, and then you got the Hart Foundation.
Oh, I got two different Bret Harts. I don't have what's his name yet. I don't have
Oh, you don't got Jim?
no, I don't have Neidhart yet. They should be releasing him soon. Um, did you ever watch My Name Is Bruce with Bruce Campbell?
Oh, okay. I had to think about that for a second because there's also
Yeah.
a Jackie Chan film called They Call Me Bruce.
Oh,
So
okay.
yeah, I've seen. Yeah, I actually own. My Name Is Bruce. Yeah.
Same. I was like, I know there's one where like they kidnap an actor and they force him to like because they try like
Yeah.
they force Bruce Campbell to fight this demon, and it's like, and he's totally not what people thought he was, and I'm just like, I love that.
He's like,
I
dude,
mean,
I'm just an actor.
right? Like I'm not some, it, and just like his first encounter with what Guan and he's like, I'm at, like his reaction was just perfect. Um, but yeah, I'm trying. Um, what is your least favorite Spielberg movie? Like we've talked about your favorite. What constitutes as a bad Spielberg movie or a movie that just didn't connect with you? Because
Okay, yeah, I was gonna say because I don't. I mean, I'm gonna sound like a total butthead right now.
no, you're
I
good.
hate to say.
No,
No, I mean I hate to say this, but as much as I love World War II movies, I did not connect with. I didn't click with Schindler's List.
okay,
I get it. I get the whole thing that came out. I mean, it was a bad situation,
mm-hmm.
and all that stuff happened. But I think, it, again, I don't want to sound like an idiot. I really don't. I think the majority of people that movie clicked with were Jews. I
Right.
think it was more of a connection for them. You know,
Right. Get
and
that because
I'm not trying to demean the movie for what it is. I'm saying yes, it was a good movie. I just didn't click with me.
no, it's kind of with Passion of the Christ. I just like it just didn't click with me. Like
I
I
get
just
that.
didn't. I didn't like it. It wasn't the subject matter or what it was truly about. It just wasn't for me. Like that movie was not for me. Same way with we'll say like Toxic Avenger is definitely not for a lot of people, but it is for me. you know, um,
Right.
so it just
But
um,
you could definitely see the quality decline after part 2.
oh yeah. Um, I think for me was War of the Worlds. Like I liked the movie, but you wouldn't be able to tell if that was a Spielberg movie. I think. I think that's the
Really?
only. Yeah, to me that just didn't
I
seem.
think
To
that
me it
movie
didn't.
I thought that movie dripped Spielberg.
To
Really?
me
I
it
did.
didn't.
I thought I'm like, this is such a spiel. I remember going into the theater and seeing going and thinking that going, this is such a Spielberg film. This is so
Oh,
over, overly done, oversaturated with the tripods and I'm like, this is there's nothing that says nothing more that no one else could have made this movie. I'm like, this is just Spielberg. And then the fact that they get Gene Barry at the end to play the grandparent, play the Gene Barry, and I can't think of her name. They were in the original 1953 War of the Worlds. They play the grandparents in this movie. I thought that was the coolest tribute.
oh, sorry, I don't mean to cut you off, but like, I just remember, like, it's one of my favorite movies about filmmaking. It's Ed Wood with Johnny Depp.
My only problem with that movie is I can't believe that Ed Wood was. I think that movie's over exaggerated.
I agree with you on that one. I really do. I think it's very, very like it's dramatized, or how you want to say that word, for a film. But I like the way. I just like the movie because it is about filmmaking in general, and just like how this guy, he makes these bad movies, but he's still able to make movies. That's
You
why
know what the funny you know what the funny thing is that Plan 9 from Outer Space is considered to be one of the worst movies of all time.
I don't think
I've
so.
seen this movie,
Eh,
I don't know, more than a dozen times in my lifetime, and I don't think it's that bad. I don't think that movie is really as bad as the reputation that it gets.
I don't think so either.
It's got a story to it.
Right? And I like this. Honestly, I like the special effects. Like I've seen, like there are special effects today that look worse than the special effects that were in that movie.
I know. It's so funny too, man. I mean, the sad thing is that when you look at movies made, back in the between 1930 and I don't know, let's say 1996. Let's just use that for like a drop off reference, because
We'll say
by then
when
CGI was coming a little more prevalent.
when did 97? We'll do 97 because that's when Titanic came out. That's a good.
Okay, well, 97. Thank you. Okay, so from 1930 to 1997, there's there are ways that people did things, and we've talked
Mhm.
about them in this episode right now. There are things the way people did things to get a special effect across, and where it's as simple as just putting if you're shooting in black and white and you put a red filter on a lens, it the red filter takes out all the red and it makes things look darker.
Mhm.
Like we're talking about Ansel Adams. I mean that's the way he shot Yosemite and El Capitan. He used a lens on his filter when he shot black and white, and simple things like that. Just we'll just use a different lens, or we'll do this. And then in say like I said, 1997 when Titanic came out, CGI became more prevalent, and it's really sad that it goes from one person going, "Hey, let's use a red filter," to we need 437 people to shade the cave.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, when you sit down and you watch these movies and it's like it's all CGI, you're like, okay, we got 200 layout artists, we got 300 shading artists, and you're just kind of going, really? This is why these movies make no freaking money. You've
Yeah.
got to pay every one of these guys that sits at a computer, our girls, every person that sits at a computer to do the shading, to do the drawing, the to do the overlay, and then when it's all over and done with, it doesn't look that good because it took 4 years for that movie to go from being started to them getting all the computer graphics right, and then they looked outdated.
Yeah. Um, there have been movies where they just like the technology surpassed what the movie was being made on. And it was just like, and you could tell. It's like when this movie was made,
Dude,
2 years ago. Like, oh man, it looks like it was shot 10
yeah.
years ago. uh, so,
And
have a question for you. We were talking about the Fablemans. I like to throw a question to the audience every now
No,
and
that's
again.
fine.
What do you have a favorite Spielberg movie and a movie of his that we don't like to
What's your favorite? What's your least favorite?
a movie that you didn't least connect with, I should say. Like, yeah.
Yeah. What's what's
But the reason why Jurassic Park
yeah,
was my
and it's a good question, and
was
no, go
because
ahead. Yeah,
that movie got me into knowing how movies were made. Because what that movie came out,
they
what,
did a lot of specials
94,
on the
5?
making of that. 93.
Yeah. And then I was still pretty. I was less than 6, I should say. So like, and that movie is pretty scary for a 6-year-old. Like for at that time, it's like you got the raptors and you got the T
Here's the
Rex.
sad thing, man. The special effects in that movie look 100 times better than, than movies nowadays.
Exactly.
And I mean, it's just you're sitting there going, "Wow, look at that!" I mean, dude, they got dinosaurs to run. It's not just some Muppet or
Yeah.
puppet. It's
It,
like they got them running, they got them moving, and it looks good. And then you look at some
and,
stuff today, and you're just kind of like, okay, why couldn't they make death look a little bit more, creepy?
right. Um, so my mom showed me a making of, and then it's like, you know what? If that was the beginning of like what I could watch. It was like,
Yeah,
oh, like since I know movies were fake, like they're like when you're young, like that the aspect of it, like you're pretty innocent, the innocence of it all, like, oh man, like what's happening in this movie could be perceived as real, and everything. Like these people are really getting their heads
that
chopped off.
was that was my mom's. As I've told everyone a billion times and more, my mom is the horror fan in my family,
Yeah,
and she got me into horror.
and that's
And
Jurassic Park opened that up for me, was
yeah,
because
and the secret to watching horror movies, this is my mom's secret, and so I'm going to share it with everyone, is that she would tell me, she'd say, "See that guy there, the guy that's going to die? Well, next week he's we're going to watch another movie and he'll probably be in it too, whether it's John Agar or whatever." And she'll go, "And he's going to be the hero." So he doesn't. So in my head, he doesn't really die. Next week, he's going to be the good guy, or he's going to be the bad guy. John Agar was in a John Ford movie. She wore yellow ribbon. John Agar was in Tarantula with Leo G. Carroll. This guy had to the people that don't know who he is, dude, look up John Agar's IMDb. Honestly, this guy did everything. Lesser known actor, but had a great career.
yeah, it, man, I lost my thought. Oh yeah, it was just like, but yeah,
Uh-oh.
um, uh, Jurassic Park was the like what mom's like, here, these movies are fake. This is how they're made, and now I'm like, oh, now I'm watching like movies that I'm like, oh,
Text.
this is yeah. I was watching like what I somehow that matured me to no end. It was just like
Yeah.
obviously that there was limits on what I could watch for that age, but for the most part, like I didn't have that like that sense of the movie was going to be
Yeah,
real.
yeah. The exactly the switch in the back of your head that says this is supposed to
Yeah,
freak you out. You know,
yeah,
you're now going, oh, okay, yeah, it's corn syrup and red dye number 5. Okay, I
right.
get it. Um,
Like these stories, they're not. They're just that's all it is, and it's like real humans are making these special effects and or putting on these movies and stuff, but it's like they're just fake characters and everything. I'm just like, okay, and then that's when I like I want. Okay, I watched my first ever rated R movie was Predator Okay, so like going from Predator, like so I stayed within the realm of like all these action movies. Action movies were like that's why I love action movies, and
Yeah.
like because that's what I primarily watched when I was a kid.
I think, I mean, honestly, it's like when we talk about first rated R movie, I don't even remember if this was released as rated R. But so my mom was, I mean, not completely opposite, but my mom was opposite of your mom. You know, where yours had like yours kind of gave you limits. You know, she's like,
Yeah.
okay, you can watch whatever, but there are certain things. No, that wasn't my mom. My mom was more like, well, if you want to see it, you know, we'll see it, you know. But when I was 6, she wanted to see this movie, and I've told this story a million times before. When I was 6 years old, I saw The Exorcist in the theaters
Oh yeah.
when it came out. You know, didn't
Well,
freak me out. You know,
and
I mean, this is, dude, you're talking about. I know people that were adults back then that are like, that movie completely wrecked me. I will never watch another horror movie. I'm like,
well, older, like obviously I could watch more things, but there was a point where my mom's like, okay, you can basically watch whatever you want, but don't do or say what you see on screen. And then that's when the horror floodgates just opened up like the shine and just like the blood, and it was just like okay,
yeah.
now there's a whole new section at the movie rental place I can go.
So here's the most hilarious thing. Um, yeah, I didn't have any problem with people going, don't do or say what you see on in horror. You know, I didn't have that problem. I got in trouble when Different Strokes came on the air, and I kept on imitating Arnold Jackson, going, "What you talking about, Willis? What you talking about, Willis?"
Uh,
My mom's going, you're not watching that show anymore. You know, go watch Jaws and go watch, you know, but you're not watching that show anymore. That's a bad influence on you. That show was a bad influence on me, but not Friday the 13th or Halloween.
I, babysitter, like babysitter killer, or like or whatever. It's just,
Yeah.
hey Patrick, thank you for joining in. Um, I don't know if Echo heard, but like we have a question for all our new people. Do you have a favorite and least favorite Spielberg movie? Because we've been talking about The Fablemans, because The Fableman, I don't know if you've seen it yet, is basically an autobiography or biography on Spielberg and how he was making movies as a kid and everything, and his mom's affair with a fellow family friend and everything, and so it was like, and it was a real, and me and Wolfman both agree that it's a very very good movie, and it definitely well deserved Oscar nom. I can't remember what other movies were nominated that year, along with it. So I can't
I, I
say.
I don't watch the Oscars anymore, so
I know. I think
but
we did a deal on that.
yeah.
I'll have to like
No,
look that up.
so here we're gonna add to that question that brother Max just asked
Oh,
you.
I totally
So
forgot. Already won.
so favorite, least favorite and least favorite Spielberg film, and have you seen The Fablemans? Those are the three questions. Favorite Spielberg was Jaws and Duel. There you go. Worst is, dude, 1941. See, it's just it's a Blues Brothers slapstick kind of National Lampoon vacation kind of comedy. I don't see why people pick on that movie. They picked on it back
I
in 1979 when it came out. You know.
So I kind of have to agree with Patrick a little bit. I enjoy it, but for some reason it didn't like set the comedy funny bone on fire with me. But I enjoy it. There are some
Okay.
funny moments. I I did love the opening of the movie where it felt like Jaws, and he's parroting his own movie, and and then the woman gets up getting like picked up by the submarine coming up and everything, I thought that was hilarious. I mean, but there were just some things that just didn't quite connect with me. That was funny. It, maybe I maybe it's um, maybe I need to rewatch this again, like third times. Maybe I need to.
Yeah, you know what? The first time I watched Wolf Creek, it didn't connect with me at all. I thought, oh my god, this is one of the worst movies ever. And then about 5 years after it came out, one of my local blockbusters was going out of business, and I bought it for like 99 cents. And I'm like, I'll give it a chance. And I found out that it's actually a really good film. I just wasn't my head was not in the mood to watch
No,
that. You know?
I I get that way with video games and like because sometimes I just like I'm just not connecting with the way that it feels or it's playing or the story hadn't quite grabbed me. But then I'm like, you know what? Let me just put this off the side, come back in a month or two, and then let it like simmer, and then I'm like, okay,
Yeah.
and then I sit there and start like, oh, okay, now I kind of understand this, and just like it kind of sometimes a movie just needs to kind of simmer for a good decade or two, you know.
So Have Cheetah says they own the Fablemans but haven't watched it yet. For shame.
But watching it, like it's very good. There is some like the
Yeah.
best part of the movie are at least in my opinion are when he's doing the making of the movies and showing the movies off like that, like showing to the crowd and like and him everything, and it's for shame. uh, and and then like it has like two different kind of like feels to it. You got him like you're rooting for this kid to make movies, and like his dad's like not quite on board with it, and then his mom is like just eccentric, and she's the artist of the family, and you can clearly
Yeah.
tell he gets it from. And like you can clearly tell, like the daughters are kind of more like the dad a little bit because they're,
Well, the daughters
uh,
are. I feel like the daughters or the sisters really don't know where they fit in this family.
yeah,
You
uh,
know, I feel
because
like they're kind of the
they don't
lost kids. You know.
screen time, but like there is a really good moment where he's editing the the uh the movie, the camp movie, I think, right?
Yeah.
Or
Right.
the beach, one of the two, and they're having like she's kind of telling him like you're selfish or whatever, you're just like mom or whatever. I think that's the dialogue, and it's just like, and he just like he can't enjoy them. Like he's like you're more like mom than or whatever. I can't remember. I've slept since then, but
Yeah.
it's a
Well,
really good.
it's fine. I mean, Patrick hasn't seen it yet, so you don't want to ruin too much. Um,
Right, but there's like good moments in the movie with
oh,
the
dude,
sisters.
there's tons of good movies and moments in this movie, and I agree that when he's making the movies, that's fun. But I just to me the overall story was just the way it unfolded. We meet this little kid, like was he like 6 at the very beginning of the movie, and
So
he's
that
introduced to films. The next thing you know, he's like, oh my god,
so like
yeah,
when to go see the greatest show in the world, right? That was the movie, and they had that big crane, that train.
greatest show on earth, the
Yeah,
greatest show on earth.
and then he's scared. He
Yeah,
wanted, and I'm like, that's basically he had to recreate that in order to understand it, and I was like, my mom had to show me that documentary, and now I understand it, and that's what so I'm like, okay, I I forgot about that opening scene,
yeah,
that sequence of the movie. So it's like
yeah.
it's a very like that's kind of why I
Have you
that's
ever?
probably why I
You ever? I mean,
as a
I'm pretty sure you have, but
right best watch with the group is three. Um,
have you ever
two.
seen the greatest show on earth?
I think so. Because like it's been a while. Like I've watched so many movies with my dad, so I can't remember. Or I've walked in on him watching these movies, and just like it's just like, oh, okay, let me just sit
Yeah,
and watch it, bomb away. And so it's like
it's actually a
oh,
really good movie.
what movies did you order, Pat? Um, I haven't
Oh
ordered.
man, Hamilton Books, man. That I haven't ordered from them in a while, but dude, they could basically just it's that old meme, take my money, you know.
Oh,
You know, Fry from oh, what is
Futurama.
it? Futurama. Thank
Futurama.
you.
But yeah, about 10 more minutes before we go. Is there anything you've watched of late that's worth of note? Sorry. um,
Well, no, I told you about You're Killing Me, and that's the thing.
yeah.
It's like when I watch something I think is really good, I will jump. You know, sometime within the next day, I will jump on Facebook and I'll get hold of Brother Max, and I say, dude, and he's probably got notes in his like his little message thing on Facebook. Like I'm always dropping like something, you know.
I a note in my phone dedicated for the movies that I've watched this year, just for that, or in TV shows. And I'm like, and like, it's like, man, that's awful low for. Well, then I understand, like, the last couple months have been kind of rough, so like I haven't really had a chance to, like, really like mentally wise watch a movie. Like I haven't watched a horror movie in like a month, so that's kind of why I.
Oh,
So like I don't know if I told you what's going on, but like I haven't really sat down and watched a horror movie in a while. If I haven't told you, I'll tell you off camera.
you've
Um,
told me you've told me things. Believe me.
okay, so that's why I was like horror movie, because I have been wanting to watch the new Evil Dead movie so bad, but I'm like, I don't think I'm ready for it yet. I have to kind of like
Yeah, I still
uh,
haven't seen that.
so I've been kind of like um, just kind of like, this is the first podcast we've done in a while. I just hopped on. I've been slowly hopping on Echoes and Patrick's streams and everything, and Nanette's
So
and Ocean, and Katie's Ocean Chicks, or Karen, I think that's her name, and just slowly saying hi. I may not stay for more than maybe a couple minutes, but like I'm just like
right,
just slowly getting back into things. Like I've been kind of
putting your toe in the water, seeing how it feels.
yeah, I've been kind of doing a new routine here.
So
I, off camera on my floor, I have a bunch of Lego bags that I've been trying to do. Like I'm building Bowser from Mario Brothers, and so I'm
oh
trying to do
wow. Dude, you
yeah.
do nothing small. You start out with claymation. Now you're doing Bowser from. Oh, again, just jump into the deep end while you're at it. My God.
I, as off camera, I got the Slave One, the AT-AT, and then I'm gonna have Bowser. just like, just like it's like three gigantic Lego sets, and so and obviously you can see all the wrestling stuff behind me. So it's like I don't do nothing
Yeah.
small or cheap,
So
you know.
so Patrick
But
says he got
oh,
C for Me, Kindred, and Disengagement, and he watched Murder on the Orient Express 1974. Patrick, could you please remind me who's in the 74 version? Because I've seen a lot of them. And Kindred. Kindred is the only one out of those three movies that you mentioned that I know I've seen. Disengagement, I don't. The title's not ringing any bells. And C for Me, no, nothing.
yeah,
So
like I think Kindred is the only one that's popping out with me as well. Um,
yeah,
I'm watching this movie called Red Rocket. It's basically what you're thinking of, um,
Red
and
Rocket, yeah, it's on Showtime right now. I haven't watched it yet, but I've seen I've gone by it
it's
many times.
So it's a guy with a giant donut around him. He's
He's
only bringing
a
that
porn star that goes back to a small town in Texas.
right, and it's bringing up about filmmaking and everything. There's more than one way, more than one thing of film, or definition of film. Uh, but I was thinking like I'm about halfway through the movie, and I'm just thinking like this guy is like I love when like comedy actors play dramatic roles. You're right. 'Cause they have the Paramount Network has all the A24 movies, and so I've been catching up on some of the ones I've not seen yet, and Red Rocket is one of them. I'm hoping to watch Men.
That's why it's on Showtime, because Showtime is owned by Paramount.
Uh, I'm hoping to watch Men and something else really soon because it's on there.
Man, that's a weird one. Yeah.
Uh, oh, and Lamb. Those are the two I've been wanting to watch because I like Noomi Rapace. I love her. I think she's because I think he answered her.
Oh, there you go. Ingrid Bergman, Jacqueline Bisset, Albert Finney, Sean Connery. Okay, wow. Ingrid Bergman and Jacqueline Bisset. Dude, you got two hotties right there. Jacqueline Bisset, I mean, wow.
But yeah, like I like when actors who are because the main guy is his name is Rex, and he you may recognize him from the Scary Movie movies, like from like 3, 4, and 5, I think. But he's really good in this movie. Like, cause he's I like he still kind of has that kind of charm to him, like that humor to him, but you can tell he's actually a really decent actor. He's actually really good, and I like Sean Baker as a filmmaker. He did the Florida Project. Have you seen that?
No, I haven't seen that one.
It's about those like hotels that are like by Disney World, where everyone lives in it and everything. Oh, so I have
Okay.
cut. I own Cut Bank, and um, I love Cut Bank, and I like that movie a lot.
Oh, one I just watched not too long ago. Actually the other night. Man, it's got a really weird title. It's AVA. I think it's pronounced Aberrance.
Okay.
And basically this what, and aberrance, I had to look it up to find out what aberrance meant. Aberrance is just another word for extreme greed.
Oh, okay.
Right.
Patrick, will you do me a favor? Look up is Slow West a 24 movie as well? Sorry, what Extreme Greed? Sorry.
But yeah, aberrance. So this lady, she's someone that competes in bow and arrow shooting.
Okay.
Right. And her husband owns a company, and I mean, there's a lot of complex little things. She has a daughter that's a teenage daughter that she just does not get along with. Her teenage daughter's just being a total butt snatch, you know.
Okay.
Um, she's being a teenager basically, and at some point, they're like, okay, the husband, herself, and the daughter are all going to go on vacation at this house, and they're just kind of getting away from all the doldrums, his company, her, that hopefully she'll reconnect with her daughter, all this stuff. And there's an invasion while they're at this place that they rented. There's an invasion, and I mean, things happen. Dude, I can't say too much about it because there's a lot going on, and it was a really good movie.
Put that on my list. Yeah.
Yeah, it's called
Another
Aberrance.
Another good A24 movie is
And I saw it
Slow.
on Showtime. So I know it's going to be on Paramount.
Yeah, it has Michael Fassbender in it, and he's really good in it. And it's actually really good. It's just about this kid who's traveling west because he really really likes this girl, and he kind of partners up with Michael Fassbender, who's kind of like he's a gunslinger basically, or he's part of a gang, and so eventually he like just it's so shot very well. It's a very good Western movie. It's like it's not your
Cool.
traditional.
I'll check that out.
It's
I
not your traditional like out in the middle of nowhere kind of. It's like takes place within like the woods kind of Western. Like you don't normally get to see those kind of movies, but they're like but it's set in the old West, and they're kind of more up north. So and they're kind of like working their way to the like I can't remember what state, but like it's flat and it has nothing but fields and everything. So like that
All right. So
explains.
one of the Great Plains states,
Yeah,
basically.
and so it's really good movie. And it's like has great special effects, great story, and it has the Hound in it. I do believe he's in it. Yeah, he's in it. And I think William Fichtner's in it as well. I think
Oh, William Finchner. Yeah. Okay. I know who you're
Yeah.
talking about.
Um,
Yeah.
I recommend that one. If I had to recommend, if there was like the way to end this, or we should if you had a recommendation, I would probably pick that one because I like that movie. It's only 90 minutes, but it goes by really quick, and it's a very surprising
That's the
movie.
same thing with That's the same thing with Aberrants. I mean, it's not that long of a movie. It goes by. Once the invasion happens, you're just kind of like you're in it to win it, and I mean, there's. So I could probably lose my horror card for admitting this.
Uh oh.
um,
At least a little hope punch before you have to lose it.
yeah, well, yeah, exactly. It's like there's the one strike. Um, but yeah. So one thing I've been watching lately, and it's just because it's been so damn warm out. I will watch something that takes place in snow.
All
You
right.
know, so I'm like, oh, that looks nice. I've been watching Hallmark Christmas movies, man.
Oh yeah. Yeah. No. It's a lot. It does have some merit to be watched. So it is like whatever halfway,
And
more than
some of
halfway
them
to
are
it.
really good, and some of them are like real cheesy. But yeah, I that's something I've been watching. So,
Oh,
well, we should probably wrap this up.
guess what? You're not the only one.
Oh, okay.
So I think your guys' horror cards are perfectly intact. Like, I, um,
The,
oh,
the
and
the the one that I've seen probably way too many times is Cross Country Christmas with Rachel Lee Cook, and that's just because I got the hugest crush on Rachel Lee Cook. I've always
uh,
had one on ever since she popped out of nowhere. It's like I mean, she's all that. Going back to she's all that, and like what was it? Antitrust was like a big movie with, and I'll even sit through Josie and the Pussycats just to watch Rachel Lee Cook. The Christmas
what
Train is my favorite. Oh, that's a good one.
which movies was I talking about, Patrick? Sorry, my memory is not very good this week. And like that's why I'm constantly thinking. Like normally I'm like pulling movies out left and right, but like today my memory is or my thought process is just like not here. Like, but yeah, I tend to watch out of season movies as well, like movies that are like not like I like to watch sometimes summer movies in the winter. So it's
Yeah.
like so I get it. Or because what I do, there's one movie that I like to watch during the winter. Like regardless, it's just because it's just I'm trying to think of the movie. Oh, I like to watch Mad Max and stuff during during the winter, just because it's like, oh, it's out and it's post-apocalyptic and everything. So it's just like, yep, because we're all indoors and everything. It's just like, yep, you gotta um, just remember what the sun looks like. Because
I actually, yeah, I prefer the shorter days myself.
does the sun stay out quite a bit out there, like before it starts going behind the mountains and everything, or is it like, or does it still get pretty dark pretty quick during the summer?
Oh, in the summertime? No. Let's see. The sun is going down now, like a little bit before 9 o'clock right now.
Okay, it's still pretty dark. It's still pretty light out here in Indiana.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, and so it doesn't get dark until like about. I don't think it starts getting dark until about 9:30.
so yeah,
Which
like
just drives me nuts.
I just went and seen Beyonce in concert.
Yeah, Ariel posted.
Yeah, so and the concert was
I'm
supposed to
sorry.
start. No, actually, it was a pretty good concert. Actually, it was really fun. Um, uh, Getting home wasn't so much fun, but the concert
Uh,
and getting there was actually pretty painless and pretty entertaining. Uh, but the concert was supposed to start at 7 o'clock in Nashville. It's like, oh man, like the day is still going. Like there's like the
yeah.
sun is still and everything, and but then she like from like we had a bunch of people behind us, and they were reading stuff and gossiping like crazy and trying to start rumors and trying to spread it through the stands and everything, and but from what we've read that she from previous concerts and everything that she likes to start late regardless. So like the concert
Oh.
was like hour and 40 minutes late, so it didn't start until the sun was actually starting to go down. Like it was like there was a hint of darkness in the air.
Right. So you don't want to be in Seattle this weekend.
Okay.
So the Seattle Mariners are playing at T-Mobile Park.
Okay.
There's a big block party going up on Capitol Hill. Since you don't know where that is, but it's one of the major little parts of Seattle.
Okay.
And right next to T-Mobile Park is Lumen Field, where the Seattle Seahawks play. And at Lumen Field, since for today and yesterday, Taylor Swift is in town.
Oh no. that, I thought, okay, it took us 2 hours just to go a mile to go home. Okay, that's because we bought me and Ariel splurged on a nice hotel, relatively close, and it was just like that. It took 2 hours to get home. It was terrible. Like that was the only bad part of that night was trying to get home, and everything. But man, that sounds. And plus, we're in Nashville, and like it's just like it's a walkie town.
Yeah.
It's right next to Broadway.
Echo, where did you live near Seattle?
Oh, but that's like, oh man, that sucks. That two major
Dude,
going on.
She's doing 2 concerts back to back. They're both sold out. And I'm thinking, oh, Mercer Island. Okay, wow. That's nice. That you lived in the nice part. So Mercer Island is you don't live on Mercer Island unless you have one of those jobs. I lived in Mercer Island until 2002. Okay, yeah, that's like where Bill Gates lives, is on Mercer Island.
Okay.
But yeah, So yeah, she's doing 2 sold out concerts, and dude, I remember seeing like bands back in the 80s and 90s in Seattle, and it wasn't that bad. Saw Kiss in Seattle, and I saw Pearl Jam in Seattle before anyone saw them. And when all these like I still haven't seen the Foo Fighters. I'd love to see them, but no, not anymore, man. You can't get me to go to Seattle anymore.
Oh,
It's just
really?
become too much of a yeah. It's become too much of a hectic mess. I mean, you
Oh
could
man.
take the public transit down there, but it's just dealing with it. Um, but yeah, Taylor Swift, two sold out concerts and the cheapest tickets. If you want to find the cheapest tickets, nosebleed. I looked this up yesterday. I'm like, okay, so where's the cheapest tickets? Nosebleed section behind the stage. You don't even get to see Taylor.
So, so that's what I heard, that she is selling that. That's what Ariel has told me, that um, she is just like maxing out every seat that she can, and regardless of what's it called,
Yeah,
I, it's like wherever you're wanting to sit, it's like, but people
yeah.
are just wanting to sit.
Viewership.
I,
Yeah.
and so,
Here's the
but
stage. Here's the front of the stage. The cheapest ticket was back here. This is
well,
the front of the stage. This is the back of the stage, and the cheapest ticket's back here.
with Beyonce, there was a clear cut, like, this is as far as we can, we're going to sit over or put fans, and
That's the way I
so
remember rock bands doing it, man. I
yeah.
mean, when Kiss came to town, they didn't show you the back of the stage. When Def Leppard came to town, they did theirs in the round, so there was no back of the stage. The stage spun,
Oh, okay.
you know. But all those other bands, it's like they would put them up against like a wall almost,
Mm.
and the back of the stage was for everyone, was for the band, and everyone else got the front view. And I'm thinking that's $1,600, dude. That's one ticket. One.
Well, um, like the Beyonce, like the coolest part of her concert for me is that, like, you have the main stage, and then then it goes out, and then it goes to a circle, and then the walkway continues, so it looks like the
Oh
Watchman's.
yeah, I saw
Uh,
that picture. I saw that picture that Ariel posted. Okay, yeah, the giant. There's a platform out in the middle.
yeah,
Type of
and
thing.
there was a
That
point in the
that was kind of cool.
concert where she was singing, and she just made like she made like a full lap around that whole thing, and while she was singing, and it was just like, and the music was like, it was very colorful, and like, the music was like really kind of like had kind of a funky beat to it. That's the best way I can describe it, and a little bit of funk to it, and it was just like, oh, that is just like, it was actually really fun. That was actually my favorite part of the concert, and like, I don't know any of her songs, names or lyrics, but I was just enjoying that whole aspect of it. It was like kind of a conga line basically going around. It was like, it was pretty cool. I like that. Um, so yeah,
Trying to
do you
think.
know where
I mean, I know "Put a Ring on It," and that's pretty much all I know.
she didn't
By
she didn't play?
Beyonce.
She played a lot of songs I've never heard. She played like one song. Poor Ariel. She went to the bathroom, and then she came back playing. She was playing the one song that she was wanting to hear, because she was like, she has
Oh,
these like she has these little moments where she's like changing outfits and everything, and so I'm like, you think I have enough time to run to the bathroom? Like, based on like the other portions, like, yeah, I think you do. And then she came back, and it was like halfway through the song that she wanted to listen to, or a little bit into it. She's like, oh. So you know where he was talking about Shorewood?
so Echo says there's a part of Mercer Island that yeah, there's a part of Mercer Island is well where non money people live. Actually, I didn't know that. To me, Mercer Island. I mean, growing up in Washington, Mercer Island was always known as the bougie rich area. So I didn't know that there was a non-money part of Mercer Island. You know,
Yeah. We
that's cool to know.
me and Ariel, we have like, like, see all the wrestlers behind me. I do a lot of shopping days with her, and so we have like designated targets, and like we know which ones are the bougie targets. Like, oh, that's the
Uh,
bougie, because like you can tell because it's surrounded by certain stores and everything. Oh, yeah, and then the Starbucks is in there. It's quite big and everything, and then when we go down to like Evansville and stuff, and it's like there's a Target that's like truly out in the middle, no, like truly like in the beaten in the stick, basically of Evansville. It's like, but it's like it's kind of on the rougher side of things. But that's probably our favorite Target. But it's just funny that
the one that
when I
no one goes to.
yeah, oh, that's where I found most of these wrestlers, like because no one goes to that one, and
Yeah.
and put all the lot of clearance ones on. So I managed to get some of these like nicer wrestlers for dirt cheap because like they just don't check that one out.
Right. Yeah. It's like, oh, we got
But
all
yeah,
this stock, but no one's buying the stock, so we're gonna put it on the clearance. And
right. I'm trying to think. Any final? What are you gonna watch today? Like, what's your watch list for the day? Before that's like kind
so
of
I
in.
watched. Okay, so last night before I went to bed, I watched Sven. I record Sven Gulli every week,
Okay,
and I
so
I watched I watched one from uh 2 weeks ago, 3 weeks ago. Ghoulies. He did Ghoulies, and so today I'm gonna watch the one that followed up that, which is Ghoulies. He did Ghoulies and Ghoulies 2 back to back, 2 weeks in a
oh,
row. So I'm gonna
so
watch that.
I'm probably gonna be that's probably my goal today is to reactivate my Shutter account, and so I can watch the last drive-in because they did Day of the Dead on there. So
Oh,
I'll
okay.
probably someone and they have like the what's her name, the main actress, and the main actress, the Jamaican guy, and who is the other third one? Who the I can't remember who the other survivor, I think. So it was like the three main people on
Oh,
there,
okay. Yeah.
and so I want to hear them talk.
Flyboy.
Yeah, I think yeah. So they're all on there, and so I'm like, oh, cool. So I'm like, that's probably what I'm going to do. At one point is to, um, watch the double feature.
So you want to hear something hilarious about that movie, Day of the Dead? Um, we did. We were back when I was doing Wicked Horror Show in the early days of it. And we were
Mm,
like getting whoever we could to get on. Kelly Maroney, whatever. We'd been doing this for like about 3 or 4 years now, and it wasn't until about that time that Leo stated that his wife's uncle is Gary Clark, who played Sergeant Steele in that
oh,
movie.
okay.
It's like, just a second, what the hell? We've been doing this for we did get him on, and he was the nicest guy ever. But we did get him on, so that was one thing that was like nice about doing that. But it was funny how long it took for
Oh,
us to
that's
find out.
which
I got
movie
a
are
few
you?
documentaries. Oh, movie.
Oh, I'm back. I'm sorry, Echo. I didn't mean to overlook that one, but um, um, you're at that comic book
Yeah.
store. Like I, I have one here as well. Where what did I just purchase from? I've just purchased a new Razor Ramon figure. So I don't have it up yet, but I do. I think I have.
So
I do.
Echo's in Yakima, right? So Echo's in Yakima, Washington, and I cannot complain about the heat if they're in Yakima, because Yakima is the eastern side of Washington, and it's more desert, more farmland, more desert, and more hot. I feel for you, man. That sucks. I mean, it's nice that you're in Yakima, but I mean, it just sucks because of the weather right now. Doing a film review of a documentary. That's cool. Documentaries are cool. I mean, I've come across a few of them that there's a documentary. I don't know if it's on disc or anything, but if you can find it on the movie channel, there's a documentary on the Warner Brothers. Check it out. This is one of the coolest documentaries. It's about all four brothers that started the Warner Brothers um, movie lot. Oh yeah,
Sorry.
we get heat.
When we were first talking about earlier,
No, dude, you can
like
have it.
yeah, you can keep it. That's how me and me and Wolfman were talking about the weather before we started, and it's like, yeah,
Well, I was saying
you,
that
yeah.
echoes in Yakima. Yakima is the eastern part of Washington. So there's Western Washington and Eastern Washington, and they're divided by the Cascade Mountains, which Mount Rainier is most famous for being part of. And once you get over the mountains, man, and get into Eastern Washington, it's basically a lot of farmland and a lot of desert. This is the only state in the United States that has three mountain ranges, a desert, and a rainforest all in one.
I don't know if I
So
showed
I
you.
mean, it's so drastic how things are here. Oh, okay.
Sorry,
There we go. Oh, we got Taker and Razor and
the 1, 2, 3 kid.
who's that? One,
X.
two, three kid. Oh my god.
Yeah, and I
Yeah,
don't.
I know who it is. I remember when 1, 2, 3 kid came out, and I was like, oh, that guy's really cool. All of a sudden, he left, and he came back as X Pac.
I couldn't remember if I showed Echo or not. I couldn't remember if I got it, and then I just held on to it. So yeah, this is like I've been collecting the Razor Ramon figures. I got um, him with his purple gear, his blue gear, his green gear, and they're releasing him in his outfit where he faces Shawn Michaels in the ladder match. So I'm trying. I'll
Oh,
have to
okay.
order so I can have his outfit and everything. But
There's also his
um,
yellow gear, but I mean, hey
no, that
yo,
I'm looking. I chose to get the they have the ultimate editions out right now of him. They have him in his yellow vest and stuff, and then they have the purple gear. I chose the purple gear because that's the harder one to find because that's the chase figure. So I'm like, okay, I'm like,
oh, okay.
that's the only one I could afford. But I'm trying to get that yellow vested one here soon. So, um, yeah, hey yo, um,
Hey
I,
yo.
um, that's how I would walk into work sometimes. It's like just like, just like yeah, because I had a buddy who watched wrestling as well, and then we would get there around the same time and just walk in like that. But yeah, that's probably what I'm going to be watching. I think that may be my first horror movie in about a month and some change. Was to watch the last drive-in double feature with um, the Day of the Dead cast
Big
and
Joe.
on.
That's cool.
So that's probably what I'm going to be doing. Um, it's too hot to do anything right now. I would like to mow, but I'm like I'll probably save that until like 6 or 7 when it's like at
Have
least cool.
have Echo come over and mow for you. He's used to the heat.
Oh, so I'm surprised I'm not sick. Because like um, I the back room where I work is all concrete, so it's just like it just it's like a hot box back there. It's just like it's just going to keep whatever. If there's any moisture in there, it's just going to make it humid and whatever and muggy and bull. Like just what I'd rather just like just you know quit, you know. but then obviously
Can't
they
do
have the
that.
two. Yeah, trust me, I can't quit. But then as soon as you go through the doors, it's into the hallway. It's like it is like 10 degree, more than that. It just feels like it's a sudden drop in temp, and it's like I will go from sweating to not sweating to sweating because I'm constantly walking back there. I'm just like, man, like I'm surprised I'm not sick because the constant temperature flux in my body. And I'm like, oh my god. But yeah, that's about what I'm going to do after we get done
So yeah,
here. Like, oh man, we're actually we'll do 5 more minutes, making it even
so yeah,
2.5.
yeah, I think it.
You
But
would he was going to watch today? Oh, he has a few documentaries.
Ghoulies 2 is like the one thing I'm gonna watch, but after that, I'm not sure. It's kind of like I still need to throw in the VS stuff I picked up, man. I picked
Oh,
it up. I haven't,
have you started watching any of that? I
no,
haven't
not
watched.
yet.
I'll probably watch that. I bought undefeatable or whatever, so I thought about checking that out finally today. Um,
Yeah,
and I think I figured it out. I'm gonna finish Red Rocket, and then because I'm about halfway through the movie, yeah, and watch that. Then the Shutter double feature, and then probably end the night with a movie that that I bought. So I should probably like watch at some point, and it's a good. So I can end the movie on not a horror movie. I can end the movie on like a fighting movie, an action movie. So, so yeah,
another
that's what I'm
movie
on.
I watched not too long. Yeah, another
What?
movie I watched not too long ago was an old Burt Lancaster film. Burt Lancaster, Chuck Connors, and Virginia Mayo. Um, it was all about them telling the story of what happened in this court-martial movie set during World War II.
Ooh,
You know,
I like. What was it? I like just movies like that in general. I like war movies that aren't war movies. um,
I could, yeah, I like war movies that aren't war movies, but I also like war movies that are war movies. You know, I mean, it just, especially World War II movies, for some reason, it just has a completely different flavor to it than, you
oh,
know.
have you watched 1917 yet? It takes place during
No,
World War.
I haven't. World War One. Yeah,
Yeah. Oh, okay. If there's one movie that I recommend, is that because the movie is made to look like one continuous shot. Like
that's a
it's,
Christopher Nolan film, right?
I think so. I
Yeah,
think.
okay. I'll watch
I'm
it
not.
anyways, but
No. It's not a Nolan movie. It's it's the guy. It's one of the guys who like he did a James Bond movie, or
oh, okay.
I think that's one of them. I think that's the guy. Um, I'm trying to think who did 1917.
Peter
But
Jackson.
um, so it's one continuous shot through no man's land. The thing is, it's only there's um, one edit in the movie. Sam Mendes, yes, thank you. That was it. It's such a good movie, and it's wow. It. I was watching this. And there's some points in the movie that got. I don't really. I like movies that make me tense up. I like
Yeah,
that. There are some like very intense moments where, and a lot of it takes place during the day. So I like that aspect of it. Obviously, when he's going through no man's land, it's through the cover of night, but but there's a big chunk in the movie where it's in the middle of the day, and I'm just like, I love it. And it's just like I like, and it's so beautifully shot and everything. It and just the editing that went along with this movie because it's obviously looked to make it's looked to make like it's one shot, and so I recommend that one.
Yeah, I heard about this. It's looked made to look like it's one continuous shot, but it's not.
Right.
Yeah, I remember hearing about that. If you want to see a really cool one continuous shot, I recommend watching the movie The Orson. This is the only everyone talks about Orson Welles being a great movie and Citizen Kane being great. Screw that. Touch of
Yeah.
Evil.
Okay.
Watch Touch of Evil, and the opening shot is one continuous shot, and that is amazing for the time that they, we're talking
Hmm.
before steady cams, before all this. I mean, it's a really good movie. It's my
Um,
favorite Orson Welles movie.
there's a fight sequence in Guardians of the Galaxy 3 where
Okay.
they got it's a one continuous fight sequence in the obviously to make it look like one, but it's set to the music of the Beastie Boys, and so it's like it's so
When you get Sabotage?
no no sleep till Brooklyn.
Oh, okay, cool.
It, so like the doors open and then like like
Dun,
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 yeah, and
dun, dun, dun.
the clear
No sleep till.
yeah, you got the clear cut like here's the good guys, here's the bad guys, and then they're like and then like let's go, and they do it, and the music just continues, and it's just and then you get that guitar solo in there, and it's just like, oh, this is an excellent sequence. It's just like, and it's because it was just like
And do
that's
you know who did? Do you know who does the guitar solo on that?
no,
On that, the same person that does the guitar solo on no you got to fight for your right to party.
oh really? I don't know who it is.
It's Kerry King, the
Oh,
lead
okay.
guitarist for Slayer.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah,
That's
Beastie Boys and Slayer were on the same record album at one point. Megaforce Records.
that's no wonder that's funny. No wonder that's like an epic guitar sound. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. I think we should end it here. So
Okay.
any final
Sounds good to
like
me.
um check out the
You know,
Fablemans.
I check out the Fablemans. Check out Touch of Evil. If the person watching the documentaries have Cheetah will view.
Patrick.
If you can check out. Uh, uh,
Echo and Cheetah's both name are Patrick. So so
okay, I knew one was Patrick. I wasn't sure. Okay,
yeah,
but
it's like
okay, so if you can check out that documentary on the Warner Brothers, it is an amazing look at how the Warner Brothers lot came to be and how these four brothers created this thing um,
and this
and what kind of person Jack Warner really was. It really it will open your eyes.
what movies did I
Other than
mention?
that, you mentioned a lot.
Yeah, this is like that's why I love doing this. Is like we just started out with a review of the Fablemans, and then we went from
And
there,
we're
and
off to the
then now
races. Yeah.
we're often like we just need a good starting point. Yeah, definitely check out the Fablemans.
You talked about Death Proof
Slow
and
Wet,
Once Upon a Time in Hollywood and what else? What was the other one? We're talking
slow,
about
slow.
Stand by Me, Goonies.
Yeah. Oh yeah, we forgot about that. Yeah, so there's a lot we talked about today. So
Super 8. Super 8's an
oh,
awesome film.
and Ed Wood, and it's like man, they're like
Yeah,
yeah,
we ran the gamut today.
yeah. So do you have a? I'm trying to think of. We'll probably talk off camera and we'll figure out what the next time's movie is going to be. Or if you want to, or we can like watch a handful of A24 movies and come back and kind of talk about. We haven't talked about a studio yet.
No,
A
we
true
haven't.
Or I'll try and find that Warner Brother documentary. You
Oh,
know the name?
dude, I watched it about a month ago, so the name is blanking on me right now. But just look on Turner Classic Movies and see if there's a documentary on the Warner Brothers. You
Okay,
know,
I'll do it. It's relatively new, or is it old?
not quite sure.
Okay, just in case like I run into like 50 of them.
Yeah, I don't think you're gonna find that. I don't think you're gonna find 50 of them, but yeah. Um,
you know. um, but already, thank you for doing this. Thank you, Echo, Patrick, May Ann showed up. Thank you for,
Man,
thank you for all who stopped
there
by,
was
making sure.
there was one other too.
Oh, and Hobbs, thank you, and Hobbs for stopping by,
Oh
just to say
yeah,
everything. I'll look into Clay Fighter. I went back to the top of the thing. I'm going to look into that. Maybe I can like say see if I can really like if I had definitely played that or not. So um, yeah, and let's talk about the geographical area of Seattle. And so yeah, we talked about everything. So um, tur- Wolfman, you can go turn on your fans now because I'm sure it's starting to get a little
thank you.
toasty in there. So yeah, so perfect timing
Yeah.
then. Um, and thank you
All right.
everybody for stopping by, and um, not
Check
quite
out
sure
my
when we'll
channel
do.
if you get a chance. You know.
Check out the 13th Wolfman. Oh, I meant to ask you before I go. How's your 31 days list coming? Do you have one started yet, or since we're only a couple
I was
months
gonna.
away?
I was actually gonna start that this week. It's weird that you ask that. I was
Really?
gonna start. I was gonna start working on the list this week. Yeah,
I
because
usually
I
start
last
mine
year,
in.
man. Last year I started late. I didn't even. I was just kind of like winging it. Remember?
Oh,
And I was just kind of like, oh, I don't know what I'm gonna do. And but the year
I'm
before that, it was like I had my list all made up like by April of
yeah.
like 2021.
I'm thinking about adding. I know there's a couple of them I would like to buy. Like I would like to add the other Jess Franco movie we were talking about. The one,
Oh, she killed an ecstasy.
yeah, the other one,
Oh,
the one,
oh, less
the
less.
yeah, that one. Thought about adding that one to my list this year.
Okay.
And there's a few others that I haven't quite figured out if I'm going to do the full 30, just due to the way my work schedule is and the way I have to do things. But I'm definitely going to at least do 2 full weeks of it. So like, and just maybe
See,
I'm
I I know that some people have done this before, right? That like when they know their work's gonna get like hectic, they'll like sometime in August they'll record like maybe
that's
10, 15 backup videos,
yeah
and they're like, okay, so if I can't get all of them in, I could just drop these into places, you know?
that's what I was thinking about doing, was to kind of like preemptively start recording and then just kind of keep them on. Like I'll record them on my other camera, and then when I'm ready for them, I'll just upload it to my, because I can um, throw it to my camera, to my phone, so I can film on one
Right.
and then stream it to my phone, so I can just do it that way. So I'm like, so it's not bogging down
Do you
my
have a theme this year? Because every year you have a theme.
theme. I'm thinking about. Oh, so I do have my first 2 movies already picked out. I'm going to
Okay.
hopefully get in touch with the guys who made that, like they who did the Experiment 57 or 53 from Indiana. You know, like I'm trying to like I want to start off with their movies again because I really enjoy it, because I want to spotlight um,
Hometown.
uh, hometown or home state um,
Yeah.
filmmakers. I like to do for at least the first few days, and And then my theme, I haven't quite figured out. I'm thinking about doing truly like um like foreign horror movies. Like that's what I'm trying to.
Ooh,
That's my is
ooh.
to like
I want to see
not.
you. I want to see you tackle that. That would be fun.
I was trying to like do something very different this year. I know I've tackled foreign movies in the past. Like but one or two, and then recommendations from you and stuff. But like I legit kind of just want to do like I'm trying to figure out if I can break it down each week into a country, like if I, or at least a region, like I can do like European, that
Right.
covers like Italian, Spanish, British,
French, German.
yeah, and
Yeah.
then I can go to like Chinese, or that particular reason I can like do Russian, Chinese, some others, and then
Asian. Okay.
Asian. Yeah, there you go. And I'll put South Korea by itself because there's enough of those to do, and then and then
Yeah, there are.
or I can and then Japan maybe that as well. Um, but but yeah, that's
Now,
what I was
don't
thinking.
forget this though. You're talking about doing foreign, right?
You know,
Don't forget that Canada is also
oh,
foreign.
right. There's some Canadian films, or yeah,
And
that's what.
Mexico. Mexico has some decent.
Right, like so, like you said, I'm going to try to do a little bit of research and kind of pick out regions or like because what is it like? There's I'm trying to because Shutter has like an international, um
Right.
uh,
Yeah.
so I'm like okay I can like do those. Sorry about that, and then they kind of do break them up a little bit because I'm like, and then I have like some in my collection as well that I have not tackled yet. So I may like kind of loosely like I normally do it anyways, but I'll like maybe throw some thrillers in there, maybe to help me. Like I can't just do straight horror, given what's been going on. But it's just
No,
like
that's fine. Well,
and so
you
yeah,
know,
that's my.
you got that, and that sounds cool. That sounds very very cool. And don't
So
forget
yeah, that's
Australia.
right. Oh yeah, they do have some like killer horror movies. Like they have like a whole subgenre of its own. And they're outback horror movies, like Razorback and
They're Outback movies, but honestly, they have some like really cool zombie films.
right. I think they did Undead, right?
It's called they did Undead, yeah.
Yep.
The
So
Butcher Brothers, yeah, they did Undead.
so, alrighty.
But yeah,
You have a theme?
you know
I
what?
know you'll do.
You do the theme. You do the theme. I think you do it well. I never think about doing a theme. I just kind of like I just I get so many movies every year that I just kind of like my theme is basically watching all the new stuff is that I get
Right.
in, and sharing it with you guys
Yeah.
because my theme is I try not to repeat any movies at all. And if I
Yeah.
do
That's
repeat a movie, there's got to be like a 5 year gap between the last time I watched it and now.
so. Yeah. That's what I was planning on doing. Is just like that. Like you said, I do not want to repeat myself. I want like a truly fresh month this year. Like
Yeah.
I think I did it a couple times last year, but like if I do repeat myself, it will be by truly coincidental. I have all the movies written down, and I do go through and try to find it, but sometimes I do overlook it.
I,
But
I,
like
I keep I keep a list every year. Every year I keep a list on my computer so I can go
oh
back and reference what I've watched, what I want. It's like, okay, oh well, you know what? I did The Fly last year. I can't do The Fly this year.
right,
Or something like that. And
so
so, but yeah,
yeah,
I don't even. I don't even know where I'm starting this year. I mean, like I said, I've got those Vinegar Syndrome ones I can do. That's
And
right there. That's 13 films. Now I need to come up with another 18.
I would like to include some animated movies, animated horror.
Yeah.
Like, so I actually, honestly, I had two themes going on for this month. It was either going to be, since I'm a father now, it was going to be either strictly kids horror movies, or like foreign films. That's exactly kind of what I was kind of going through, and it's like, and I'm like, you
Yeah,
know
foreign
what?
films.
I'll kind of hold off on the kids until Arlo can maybe help me. He can be my
Yeah, there you
co-host.
go.
So I'm like, you know what? That's kind of why I'll put that. So because all those movies will be fresh for him, and I'm like, that'd be perfect to be like, all right, we're going to be watching this movie today. What do you think about it? And hopefully by that time he can actually like talk. so that's why I kind of lean towards the foreign aspect of it. So
Well, Italian Sunday is definitely going to be there this year again, like it
oh,
always is. So
like that's like always look forward to that. Like I get a little behind on everyone's videos, but I'm like, oh, today's Sunday. I know exactly whose videos I will be watching for. So, like,
so yeah,
yeah,
so Italian Sunday is definitely going to be there. That's always fun to do. It's and the funny thing is like so. In order for me to stay uh, in time with the month,
mm-hmm.
I have to do everything one day before.
Yeah,
So September 30th, I will be watching the first movie for October 1st.
yeah. That's how I
October
did it.
1st, I'll be watching the movie for October 2nd.
Yeah,
You know,
like they're like then I always end up getting like um what's it called? I miss a day by accident, and then I have to make it up. That annoys me, and I think this year I'm going to try to be like we talked about, film maybe the first couple weeks ahead of schedule, and then I can like start
yeah,
watching.
there's nothing wrong with that.
Yeah, but
Just
yeah,
just when you do it, just don't tell anybody, and just go, "Hello, today's the first day of the 31 Days of Horror," and they'll just even though you pre-taped it. What? Well, this is still live, by the way.
yeah. It it just adds to. We're still talking about movies. We're just talking movies about in
Yeah,
a different way. And plus, it matter. The 31 days matters to us quite a bit. That's the whole reason why
yeah.
we know.
It's always been the one of the most fun things to do, man. I
I
mean, and
I
I see people do the 31 days differently. Not just there's guys, and you know them, that are on
yeah
Facebook that'll put out a list, and they're like, here's the subject matter for like each day. You have to watch a horror movie. You have to watch a movie that has this in it, or the movie that's. And I'm like, wow, that's just a little too organized for me.
yeah. I, I would like to do it at least once that way.
Yeah,
But I also like the randomness of, because some days I don't may not want to watch that movie. Like something may pop
exactly.
up, something may pop up a little bit better. Like it's happened to me time and time again. And it was just like, oh, today was supposed to be this movie, but I realized that today was
Today
Tuesday,
it was supposed to
and
be a vampire film, but I'm in the mood for this.
yeah, I'm like
Yeah, I get it.
I'm gonna, or like like there's supposed to be a new Saw movie out this year, a new Final Destination. I don't know when that's supposed to be out, but like you
Yeah.
never know. Like the Hellraiser movie, like I totally forgot about that, and I'm like, oh, I have to pencil that in somewhere. Like, what movie can I take out? And like that one, and then schedule that one in, and then I'll put that movie in a to be watched list for next year or whatever. It's like,
Yeah, the fun thing about making up the list is I do it with my mom.
oh, that's cool.
I'm like, so what movies, you know, like what movies would you like to see this year on the 31 days? And she'll write down a list, and I'm like, okay, well, give me a chance to, and I go over and I'll look up and see if we watched any. And I'm like, well, we can't do this one, we can't do this one, but these other ones, no problem,
Right.
and then I look and I go, what day is Sunday? What days are Sundays on? Sundays are on this date, this date, this date. Okay, so we can't do it on those, and just. But I have to
Yeah.
let you go, man.
Oh, you're good. So yeah, I'll let you go so you can turn on your air and everything, your fan. So,
All right,
thank you for joining. I am the one and only MSJ.
brother
Um,
Max.
yeah, brother Max. Joined as always with the 13th Wolfman, and the only way I can ever end these videos is I'm going to go geek out.
And get out. Yeah. Take care, brother.
See ya.